book, and you gave it to me, and I appreciate that. It's a good book. And you know, the interesting thing is you're not really out there with high-powered rifles, right?
No, I'm not. No. Please, the animal rights people need to know it is not hunting real elephants. Please.
That's right. Ron, so put your guns away down there in Texas. No. That we got.
Get out of your helicopter.
I was getting down to the powder room.
Yeah, that's right.
And here we go. We're up to 3.
You know how to eat an elephant, don't you?
Well, Rich, if you're going to talk, you either got to get close to me or Matt's got to swing his boom over there so that they can hear you. And of course, we got Rich. Thanks for being here. Always good to see another bald head. So, man, we got so much bald going on here.
Good morning.
It is a beautiful, beautiful thing this morning. Uh-oh, Coach. Okay, that was not my phone this week, right? But just just an exciting week, exciting hours, 2 or 3 hours that we're going to be with you from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we're going to be talking about finding your purpose, finding your passion. We've got 2 great people in studio that can do that for us. Along the way, we're going to pause for the cause at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. And then we'll get into some great interviewing and find out a little bit more about you guys, which is fantastic. And then, of course, at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll pause for Deke's health and fitness tips, which is always good. And then we'll do some more interviewing. And in this first hour, of course, we always love to reboot your mental software to get people get going and thinking differently and helping them on their way. Coach, good week for you this past week?
It was a great week. It was 1 week closer to the cruise.
To the cruise.
Interestingly
enough, you will not be in studio next week, but you'll be hopefully Skyping from the promenade deck.
Of the Carnival Sensation.
No, the Carnival Sensation.
Wow.
Good morning, Joni Downey's checked in. Frank Hostica is out there listening. We've got Damon K. Ross, great friend of the show.
Always.
Feel free to type in Phil Nasarino, who is perfect attendance at the show. So Phil, any of you guys, you got good things. The attitude of gratitude, isn't that interesting? You want to check in, please reach out. Brandon Stewart, good morning, ball guys, my son. So quite a few people are moving in as we got the show up and running by hitting the right button on the phone.
Not the left button. That is
so,
good.
But besides that, our high school girls played their best game without question.
Good.
Friday we had a scramble event in McHenry that was very well attended, very well received, and
great.
I think it's going to be one of our most successful events. So it's just it was a wonderful week all the way around. Lots to be thankful for.
It was. How about you, Matt? Good week?
An awesome week.
Yeah.
Had a good. We're in the process of trying to get my father into a senior living community, and it's been a long journey.
Oh boy.
And he's accepted the concept, which is really good.
Yeah.
And so, as far as good things, that's an awesome thing that he wants to do. We're supposed to go and get things sort of, I don't want to say signed up, but signed up on Thursday. We had the appointment set without his approval until yesterday. So now he's in. So I'm really thrilled.
Well, they're a lot different too. I mean, from probably what he was used to, the cigar smoking attendants and whatnot in the old folks home, back in the day.
Well, he's got a mindset that it is an old folks home, and it's not.
No, that's true.
It's really so different than what he thinks it is.
I wouldn't mind spending some time there.
Well, there's a 4-to-1 ratio of girls to guys. So I'm telling him right away, going, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that would be good.
That's right. That's not bad. How about you, Kim? Nice weekend?
It was a nice long week. I got some brand new tires for my car thanks to Carl at GNR Auto. Nice guy. Took care of me. And then I did go to the Scramble on Friday, which was excellent. Met a lot of new people. And then Saturday I went to the food truck frenzy that the Grays Lake Exchange Club hosted.
How did that go?
It was out at the fairgrounds, and it was mobbed. Absolutely mobbed.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people there. And hence, a little bit of a wait for things. I think next year they're going to enhance that quite a bit and have a lot more.
And that's that's another thing. Back in the day, you'd be like, ooh, eating food off a truck. But now it's such a great industry.
It is.
Technology and chefs and everything there are just.
They had a huge line at the lobster truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did it have like 8 little feet out?
I didn't see the feet, but I'm
She was
quite
too
certain.
busy rolling around in the butter.
Quite certain they were there.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a line before it even opened.
Wow, that's awesome. That is good.
Great turnout, beautiful day.
That is
DJ.
Phil Nasarino said, "Good morning, Kim."
Good morning, Phil. It's been a while.
Doesn't care about the rest of us. Good morning, Kim.
That's it.
Well, he's a wise man.
She does bring the good looking meter up.
The rest of us too.
I'm the only one with hair here.
That's right.
Yes, because we are
4 bald guys, a microphone. That's it. Right. Just a great week, just outstanding stuff. Coach, we always start out with the attitude of gratitude.
But we didn't hear from Ron yet.
Yeah.
Was I fixing the phone when
you
he
were
was putting
yes,
this?
yes, yeah.
Well, I was thinking about Kim's comment that there was a long line at the lobster truck, and I was wondering if people were getting crabby.
That's 4, folks. If you're counting puns today, we're up to 4.
Are we allowed to laugh at that? Are we?
You were expected.
Okay, expected. I
If you
wasn't
ever
sure.
want to be back, you laugh at me.
All I've got is
I'm
this.
good. Ron, I'm good. Ron, that was funny.
I only have the applause. I don't have the laugh track yet. So we are the laugh track, which is good.
We have the crazy psycho laugh, but we've chosen not to use that except on Halloween.
That's it. Coach, gratitude. What are you grateful for, buddy? Other than it is now 4 days, 5
cruise.
hours,
Okay,
6
we get it.
minutes,
We
till
get it.
9 o'clock. Yeah, right. I get it. Yeah.
We're cruising in on takeoff. Having friends and the people I've worked for over the years and the athletes who have turned into friends.
Yeah.
Sean Roby, good friend of mine, young man. Him and his wife were, working to have babies, and they finally had them, and it turned out 2. They had twins.
Whoa.
After the twins got to a certain point, they decided to try again, and they had twins
Oh my
again.
God.
Wow.
So they have a set of twin girls and a
Oh,
set
wow.
of twin boys, and they now have a 12-passenger van.
Right.
So Sean is picking us up at my house and Frank and Christina's house on Friday morning. So having these wonderful young people in our lives is really makes a difference.
Well, and when you learn how to score like that, quit shooting. That's the trip. Unless he's going for the triple double.
Yes.
If he's going for the triple double.
Actually, they are going to have more children, but they've chosen to they become foster parents, and they're
Nice.
they're a quality young couple.
Good.
Sean is the director of Parks and Recreation for the Village of Antioch.
Wow, that's nice. Good. That's
Wonderful young man.
fantastic. Ron, gratitude this morning.
Well, gratitude is, I very rarely go in and have medical procedures done. And I was feeling a little fear and everything. And what that overshadowed was the dedication and the sacrifices that the doctor made to get his license, the discipline, and the actions that he took to become one of the best in his field. And this week, I'm grateful for the fact that I realized that he had done all of those sacrifices to provide a gift of sight to other people. And I'm grateful for the sacrifices his family made, for the dedication, discipline he did.
You bet.
That allowed me to have a new outlook on life.
You bet. That's
Now,
awesome.
only in Texas can he do surgery out in the field.
Well, I told you guys that when we came down here, the Obamacare had passed, and the 8 companies that were going to write us health insurance disappeared. And we finally ended up getting health insurance through the Farm Bureau down here. The only problem was all the preferred providers were veterinarians.
Well, and just to go one step farther, since you've connected with the Farm Bureau down there, haven't you been asked to be on their board of directors?
Well, I was I'm being considered as one of the candidates for that.
Right.
So I'll find out.
Oh, beautiful.
So, I mean, that's funny how these connections happen in networking. I'll go into a networking situation that happened right now. We're in the attitude of gratitude. But as we move forward, it is something I want to bring up. So, Rich, Matt, if you would pass your microphone over to Rich, what are you grateful for this morning as you're up early and out here and had to get your exercise in at 3:30 this morning?
I was grateful a minute ago that we had 4 microphones and I was the 5th person.
I'm grateful for swivels on microphones.
I'd have to be a little cryptic. I ran into somebody who gave me a fresh perspective on an issue I've been dealing with. So I can't say what that is, but
That's fine.
so
But you're grateful for it.
I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is cool. Kim, what are you grateful for?
Probably for all the wonderful connections I have made through networking in the last couple of years. Certainly for the friendships that I've made, certainly with Matt here, and the opportunities that have presented themselves because of that networking.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been a wild ride.
And you know what, folks, as you're watching, she's the pretty one right in the middle of the 2 bald guys over here. And, I'm grateful. Every time I've been around you, your energy's always, I don't know what it is, you're just full of life and energy, great smile, and, I'm grateful for that because you bring out the best of everybody, which is nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's it. So that's Kim. She's the pretty one between those 2 over there.
The rose between two thorns.
That's it. Matt, anything you're grateful for?
Absolutely. Can we give more than one?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to give more than one?
Yeah, hey man, we got 3 hours. Go
I
after
love
it.
it. I'm very grateful for my wife Laura. We've been married 35 years.
Wow, beautiful.
And
Happily for 5. No.
Okay, 6, 8, 6, 7.
Be careful. Be
I
careful.
know.
Let him say it.
She's
Don't
listening.
agree.
There we
Don't
go.
agree.
I like that. We attended a marriage enrichment.
Cool.
It was a 4-hour. It was a candlelight dinner, quote, little thing, and it turned out to be much more than a little thing. It was great, and to be able to experience that, we got to renew our vows again, and we were there with 35 other couples, and there were couples from, the one that I knew oldest was 83 years old, the couple, and then some younger ones than us, but it was just really sort of cool to be in that environment.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just grateful to have a loving wife that puts up with me and is really special for many, many reasons. I also want to echo what Kim said about friendship and the networking. Where I met her at the Freedom One is really one of my favorite places. I've networked
great.
a long time, many years, and to have I'm just attracted back to that one.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's not always just, it's really usually not the business aspect of it. It's really, what do I know I'm getting some things out of it. So I'm grateful to, to Rock, who's put that together, and just to be able to create a friendship that is not just always business. And I like that.
Yep. Rock Turnell does a great job over there at Turnell Financial. And it's a cool place. The first time I was there, too, it's just a real neat energy, and it's not your typical mixer type of networking thing. It's incredible. It really is. And if you're in business or you want to do some networking, it's every Thursday morning, right?
Yep. Libertyville.
Libertyville at Turnell Financial. Freedom One is a great thing. I've been there a few times, and every time you go, it's just like you're going home. It's really pretty neat. The energy, the people are fantastic. That's where we met each other, which is really, really cool. That's great. My gratitude, I'm grateful for nurses. I tell you what.
Me too.
Had April, he loved you first on the radio.
Well, thank you, dude.
There you go. I just trying to get you in there.
That's my partner. He has my back.
She might have beat us though. It's just 6:18. It took you a little while, but I went in for an MRI on Wednesday to find out that I have a torn rotator's cuff, and I've had some open MRIs. I've had MRIs on my lower part of the body, on my ankle, so I never had to go into the tube. And it was at the new Huntley Syntegra, which is it's like a TV set. That place is so high tech and beautiful. It's like it's like you're on Grey's Anatomy itself or something, right? And the tech is like, yeah, you're gonna are you claustrophobic? And I'm like, you know what? I'm afraid of heights, right? and he goes, well, you'll be in there. So I kind of glance in there, and I'm like, I should be fine. Everything's white and beautiful, and and
It's a little different actually being in the tube.
And the MRI tube, is maybe, I don't even know if it's 6 feet long. It might just be 5 feet long or something. So you look at it, you're like, yeah, no, I'm fine. And it's a big tube. Well, I didn't know the bed raised up, right? So I, they get me in, they strap down my shoulder, they strap me down, and they're like, okay, we're going to put you in. And, you squeeze this ball if you have a problem. I'll tell you what. And I was only going in to my waist, right, because it just needed my shoulder. So, like, half of me was still out. But the bed raised up, and then the top of that cylinder is like inches from your nose. And I had a problem with that. So I'm squeezing that ball. He's like, what's wrong? I can't do this. I said, to Ron's point, I started praying to God. God and I started having talk real fast, and I'm like, Lord, calm me down. This, I need this, and just ease my, and I'm waiting for this awesome feeling just to come over me of God going, yes, here you go, my son.
Didn't happen.
No. And so this nurse came in, and she's like, I hate this too. And, they got the headphones, and you can listen. And I didn't know. I go, I don't know, country music, I don't care, whatever. And she comes in, and this lady comes in, she goes, I hate being in there too. And she goes, you headphones? What? She goes, I love Elton John. I go, I love Elton John. I love Blue, right? He's one of my favorites on Pandora. It's my most listened to station. Absolutely love Elton John. She starts talking about Elton John and all this stuff, and she goes, listen, I'll be right here. Right, and I held that nurse's hand like I was a 3-year-old. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to get through that MRI. And I'm grateful that God answers prayers in the way that He answers prayers, not the way that I'm expecting Him to. Because nurses, I'm going to tell you what, they are a gift from God. Because I was freaking out. I'm telling you, it was crazy.
And to those of you who didn't pick up on it, I'm married to a nurse when I said I love nurses too. So,
I'm not, but
Frank Hostica and Christina Hostica are listening. Damon K. Ross, Julie Shepard Ford, great friend of the show. Good morning, Julie's out there. John Heeman.
Good stuff. Picking up garbage on the side of the road this weekend, her and her family. Amazing job.
Good job, John. Heather Moshinsky has checked in, and it isn't 2 hours into the show, so good job, Heather, getting up and getting going this morning.
Beautiful.
So we've a lot of great stuff going on. What time is it, Kent?
I'm glad that you asked. It's time to reboot your mental software with 2
bald
guys and a microphone.
The R in reboot is?
Recognize that you need to reboot.
The E is energy. Unplug from that energy, unplug from that phone, reflect on what you need to do, and then plug back in with a new drive.
The B, believe that what you're doing makes sense and it's going to move you into the direction that you need. The first O
is operating system. How many of us are operating 2017 technology with a 1955 operating system? Let's upgrade today. The second O is
orchestrate. You are the conductor. You need to orchestrate the change and keep your back to all the naysayers. The T
is test. Know that it's working. Test your numbers and adjust as necessary. You are getting ready to reboot your mental software with 2 bald guys and a microphone.
Fades right out. It's beautiful. So we're rebooting to find your purpose, find your passion, right?
It was pointed out to me I spelled that wrong. I got Porpise, and I cannot edit that until after we shut the show down. So for those of you who are OCD on spelling, I will fix that a little bit later.
We're not finding our porpoise?
We're not finding, well, it was porpise.
Porpise?
Yeah, to use a long I because the short I sound can get us in trouble.
That's right.
So rebooting that mental software, realize that we need to make some changes. And our topic today is finding your purpose, finding your why, finding your passion. So we start with the R, the recognize. Recognize the need to find your purpose. You know, a lot of us had dreams when we were in junior high school and high school. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. I remember speaking to an 8th grade group one time, and when I would ask the question, what are you going to be when you grow up? There would always be, some of them would say, oh, I don't know. And I remember this one boy sitting there, and he says, I don't know. And I said, well, what do you like? What do you like to do? And he says, well, I really like race cars. I said, well, then why don't you focus on becoming a race car driver, getting in the pits? He goes, yeah, right, me, a race car? I said, you don't think Dale Earnhardt at one point in his life was a scared 8th grade kid sitting there wondering what he was going to do when he grew up? We lose sight of our passion at some point. So rebooting or recognizing that we need to find our passion is a very big deal. Kent's got a book open here, and I think we're about to hear some wisdom.
Yeah, you know what? I've been, over the last couple of weeks, been reading this book here, The Elephant Hunting by our good friend Matt Barafato. And right in there, one of the first things I loved, and I shared this a couple of weeks ago on the show too, is knowing and understanding what is most important to you is the key to happiness and success, right? So as you do that, as you work with people, how do you help people recognize that perhaps they're kind of stuck in the mud, or not doing what they're really passionate about?
That's a great question and point. What I find a lot of times, I can see it in their eyes when I'm face to face with someone. I can see it in their eyes when I know they're not doing something on their purpose, and when they are, it is so dramatically different. And so a lot of times what will happen when I'm having a conversation, I start, just like what Tim was saying, I'll start probing questions. What do you like to do?
Yeah.
Or you do this. Do you really love that? And people look at you sort of funny, and as soon as they look at you like that, they take a pause.
Yeah.
They don't love it. And I go, that's interesting. I'll bet you're pretty good at it. And they go, yeah.
Yeah.
And I say, well, why is it that most people, and what I'm finding is a lot of people in their careers, and a career can mean a whole lot of different things, but in their careers, they have 2 careers. And people go, what do you mean 2 careers? Well, what they're paying their mortgage with and their rent with is usually their career too. And it's not what they love, but it's what they're very good at. And then what they don't realize is they always love something and they're not doing it. I'm going, why wouldn't you try to find that thing that you love? And just like what Tim was asking with that young man about, I love race, or I like to, why don't you explore those things you like? And when you explore the things you like, you'll see that when you start to really probe those questions, there are things you could do that are connected to what you like to do.
Yeah.
Oh, really? And it's sort of funny when the light bulb goes on, it clicks.
Goes on, yeah.
And it's fun. So I enjoy that conversation.
Yeah.
I thought you were looking for the train.
That's it.
Truck to,
That's a big light. That's wonderful.
well, and that's the purpose of some kids on vacation, right? In the back of the car to see how many semis you get off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was
everybody does have a purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
We're placed here on purpose to find that, and it's so important to do that. Ron, I know you deal with a lot of people in helping them find their purpose, especially in the elected officials.
Well, that's the big thing is I've got a program called From Elected to Effective. And many times they'll run for city council because they want a stop sign at the end of their street. The stop sign goes in and they don't know why they're on the council anymore.
Goal achieved no longer
they don't
motivates,
realize
right?
that there's a much greater purpose to why they are an elected official.
Yeah.
And to expose that purpose to them. What is their role? So many times people are involved in careers where they don't know where they fit into the big picture.
Yeah.
And then they're lost. And when you're lost, you're not happy. And when you're not happy, you're not performing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not performing, you're not working. When you're not working, you're not happy.
That's a lot of it, right?
I met with a lot of people, and just a couple over the recent time. One young man had moved through a couple of different careers, and he's a quality young guy, and he seems like he should be very successful, but he just wasn't hitting it out of the park. So he sat down, and I said, what do you really want to do? And, came out, I want to be a teacher. A week later, he went down and he rolled in Northern. He had his degree, he just needed to get his teaching stuff, so he started substitute teaching to subsidize his college time, and he's going back to school to become a first grade teacher. right?
How beautiful is that?
Wow.
Wrong place.
Right.
One of my best employees when I was at a fart company in Crystal Lake, Giovanni was, gosh, this guy was amazing. We could just see in his eyes, like you say, he wasn't happy. Giovanni, he came from Guatemala. What'd you do in Guatemala? I was a first grade teacher. And he said, why didn't you stay in teaching when you got here? He says, well, all my credentials didn't move over. I said, as a Hispanic especially, there's a lot of opportunity. And within 18 months, he was in the classroom. So, sometimes it just takes that little reminder of what our purpose was to get us back up and going.
That's it. When we talk about energy, the E part, you have to understand, if you're convinced that finding your passion is hard or that it's not going to happen for you, you'll remain closed to possibilities, right? So in planification, and Kim, when you work with people to get them to understand, their purpose or the purpose for this event or whatever the case may be, you probably help people understand and help them choose that they can find that purpose.
I think a lot of people don't clearly see the whole picture of what an event or a function can do for them and
Right.
their business. They don't see that big picture. And it's a great form of marketing, truly.
Yeah.
People will remember the experience way more and longer than they will remember seeing an ad for your business or seeing, some tchotchke that you might give away at a trade show. They'll remember the experience. I'm doing something this summer in June at Alden's Kennels, and this woman is brilliant. She gets this. She puts on one event a year, and everybody will remember that. They'll remember the people they meet there. They'll remember the experience.
Yeah. Great people out there at Alden's Kennels, too.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
stories.
the last couple of years, I've been going to work with our good friend at Alden's Kennels, and rain happened during soccer practice that made me available. This year, I have taken the day off. I'm not doing what I normally do at that time of night, which is coaching soccer, so I can be there to support. It's just, she's such a great person.
She is. She
And,
truly is. It's developed into just a really great friendship, and that does happen quite often when I'm working on an event, because you do work so closely with someone, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
I went last year. This will be my second year, and going to make it really great.
Kent, do you know what happened this week? I forgot to mention. We got our first sponsor.
Oh, wonderful. I did not.
So
I didn't know.
Surprise.
I'm going to interrupt for a second and talk about Northern Illinois Windows.
Wonderful.
Northern Illinois Windows has become a sponsor, a longtime friend of the show, a longtime friend of some of those here in the office, but cleaning windows one pane at a time, or taking the pain out of window cleaning for you. Northern Illinois Windows, we'll talk about them at least once an hour right here on Two Ball Guys and a Microphone
was
on
horrible.
WHIW at 101.3. You are listening to Two Ball Guys and a Microphone, and a couple other ball guys and a fuzzy one.
That's right.
On the energy piece and reflecting on once you've identified, you need to find your passion. As Ken said, you need to unplug and start reflecting on how do you recover that passion. So I'm sure, Matt, you've helped some people over the time reignite that fire. How do you do that?
It's actually very easy. When I say easy, it's simple. Easy, not so much, but when you ask the right questions of the people. One of my favorite groups of people that I like to work with are retired people. And you know why I like it? Because
They're old?
Well, they have much experience. They have much experience.
They have nothing else to do but listen to you?
They have, if they've done a good job with taking care of their retirement and they don't need to work anymore, I love to turn and say, well, you don't have to make money, so what are you going to do? And they look at you with a blank stare.
Right.
And I go, how is it possible? You can not have to make money and you don't know what you're going to do. They're frightened. There's fear in their eyes. And then I just start asking these questions. What do you like to do? Oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then at one, whatever it was that their energy just pops, I go, I'm going to dig on that and I push on that. And before you know it, I like to use my dad as an example. My dad We have 7 children, as far as siblings. There's 7 of us in our family. And he chose to become an attorney, which we are glad he did, as opposed to a jazz pianist. And he was talented enough that he could have gone that route. Now, we're glad that he didn't.
Sure.
Because of just everything that's involved that can't be involved in that. So he works 45 years as an attorney, and now he's done, and he doesn't know what to do. And I go, Dad, you still like music? I mean, being facetious. Do you still like music? Yeah. What kind? Jazz? Yeah. You suppose there's a few jazz places here in Chicago that you could actually, like, tap into? And he's going, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And you go, and I'm finding that is and then so then I can push that person and say, you can do a lot when you don't have to make money tying into jazz.
Yeah.
Tying to your music because you love music.
Yeah.
And then you see their excitement come up and they love it. And I have to ask Kim. It's funny. Kim saw me do a talk at
Freedom One, yeah.
At Freedom One. It was the women's group there, the Women of Influence. And what was the question that I asked him that it perked you up so quickly that you said, what was the question?
The question was, what do people ask you for? Or what advice?
What advice do they ask you for?
What did they ask you for? And it just clicked that moment.
Yep.
And what happened when he clicked? What did you see when you said
you're energized.
It was so funny because she started thinking and she said, it's not actually about exactly what I do in planification. Right. And her eyes got excited and say, do you know how often that happens?
Yeah.
That it's not related to what you're doing on a daily basis?
Yep.
And I go, wow. And then they won't go away from me.
Yeah. So as we talk about belief, they say the best way to diet is to take a brown paper sack from the grocery store, cut eyes in it, like the Unknown Comic. Remember that?
Right,
Unknown
I remember.
Comic?
Right.
I loved him.
Right. And you put that over your head, and you stand in front of the mirror, absolutely, naked, right? And you look at when you can't see your face, you look at that body and go, ooh, right? But so much in life, to your point, Matt, is we go through life looking at ourselves in the mirror. We recognize our face, and we say, you know what? I'm supposed to be a banker. That's what I do for a living.
I look like a banker.
I look like a banker.
I feel like a banker.
I look like a fireman. Whatever the case may be, right? And we choose to accept the role that we're playing. Okay? And we don't believe that, and we take our passion, our purpose, and we make it a hobby. Okay? For many years, I love to coach, and I do it, I volunteer. Right? And then there was a while I created a basketball company with a couple other friends, and then chose to just coach instead of being part of the company for several different reasons. And but then I got paid $1,000 for 3 months. And you're really just volunteering, and your true purpose becomes a hobby. Right? And the hard part is really making that discernment between, Coach, a hobby and a profitable passion, right? How do you do it? You do a lot of coaching. I mean, that's what you do, business coaching.
For many years, I was the same way. We hit some financial difficulties around 2008, 2009, just like everybody did. And so coming out of that, and we're starting to rebound fairly significantly, my grandson turned 6 and wanted to play soccer. It was assumed I was part of the package. So I went and helped out with his little recreational team. The guys who ran the organization and provided coaches said, you've done this before? I said, yeah, well, I hold a coaching license. I'm a former varsity high school coach. Next thing I know, they're paying me $40 an hour to run around a soccer field. Now, it's either a slap in the face for all the years I did it for free,
right,
or a sign from God, I'm going to help you get your financial stability back from something that you love. Today, I've just returned to the high school soccer field where one of my passions is up at the Wilmot Panthers High School. And it's just like the path is always there. Sometimes we don't take it.
Yeah. We don't believe we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the belief part, now you said before, like you dabble in your passion, or you
make it a hobby.
You make it a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I push people to is saying, why the metaphor, the elephant metaphor, slapped me upside the head so hard.
Yeah.
Was first when I heard it, I just laughed. I said, how do you eat an elephant? one bite at a time. Right? It makes you smile. You go,
Right.
okay. Because I love when people go, I would never eat an elephant. I said, well, you're not listening to the question. I said, how do you eat an elephant?
Right.
And the issue is, if you have something that you're passionate about, and you have to make I'm not saying go give up what you do for a living, because if you have a family, that would be very irresponsible to just give that up. But if you can keep that going and then just one bite at a time, touch that passionate thing and touch it. And so for me, speaking is something that I love to do in public. And when I saw my friend Mike Schwartz, which I talk about in my book,
Yeah.
I saw him speak. And so he's a friend of mine that broke his neck when we were seniors in high school playing hockey.
Yeah.
I was on the ice when it happened. I was I used to see him do a talk after that. And I would be moved to tears when he would do this talk. And I would but then I looked around the room and everybody would be in tears when he did the talk. It wasn't just me. I thought it was just me because I was on the ice watching it happen.
Sure.
And then I said to him one day, I said, Michael, how do you do that? How do you go and speak and touch people like that, influence them like that? And he looks at me in the eye and he says, Matt, go speak. I said, what do you mean? He said, go speak. Do you know how many organizations want speakers? That they might not pay you, but you figure out how to speak. You figure out what's good at speaking. And I've been doing this 15 years, and I've always just kept what works. I throw away what doesn't work. And all of a sudden, before you know it, I've got a 45-minute or an hour talk, and it's all these things I've kept. And it's because I just went out there and did it.
Yeah.
I didn't make a living doing it. I did it one day at a time. I did one talk at a time, and I kept on paying my bills
Yep.
at what I'm really good at, but I don't love it. And so I'm a case study in it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's one bite at a time. And that's how I wrote that book, 10 minutes a day. People go, how do you do that? 10 minutes a day for 7 years? You'd be surprised what you will do if you focus on anything for 10 minutes a day.
Yep.
And that's what you do.
And folks, that's Matt Barafato. And Matt, if people want to know more about you, learn more about this excellent book, Elephant Hunting, discovering and accomplishing your most important priorities in life. Where can they find you at?
Again, on my website, www.elephanthunting.net.
Awesome.
And that's where we're gonna be doing a second edition of this. So we're working on.
Yeah.
That's why I love when people give me feedback on the book, because chapter 11 is the main chapter, which really, if you don't identify what's important to you, remember, and that's what you said when you first started that question. It doesn't really matter what you do with your time if you don't know what's important to you.
Right.
And people go, oh, no. And I said, no, think about that question. And that's what in Alice in Wonderland, the fork in the road, the Cheshire Cat does that. The Cheshire Cat says, well, what path do you want to, where are you going, Alice? And then she said, I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter which path you take.
Stay on it, whatever.
Zig Ziglar used to call it a wandering generality.
Absolutely.
Wandering generality. And I talk about this.
I just call it a lazy eye.
If you don't care what you're doing, then it don't matter what you have.
Absolutely.
And it's important. Ken Cass gave a shout out to Ken. He said, Ken Kreml, you have way too much hair for this show.
You might be right.
Did you bring the clippers?
Yeah, we can.
I do need a haircut.
Not our style.
We're going to take them all.
That's right.
Good morning, Ken. Getting people stoned out in Lake County.
Absolutely. Now, Rancher Ron, as we kind of talk about the orchestrating of this, you work with a lot of people just on the ranch in ways that they don't even know that you're working with people to kind of get them to orchestrate their own change, find their purpose. Tell me a little bit about some of the ideas that you use to help people understand to get after and go get their purpose, their passion.
Well, most people focus on the work of the ranch, and I had learned that the work is only the means to the purpose. For instance, we talk about Mark Wheeler a lot. What a dynamic young man he is. But we started cutting Wheeler's way through the woods, and it was a parallel to Mark's life. And we talked about those items going through. And at the end, we not only get a road out of it, but he gets a new perspective on life.
Yeah.
And you have to look for, why am I doing this? And Matthew said something about working with seniors. And I think one of the greatest rewards you have is when you run into a person who's been successful in their career, and now they're not sure what they're going to do next. They've seen all the Gunsmoke episodes on TV.
I'm a coming, Mr. Dillon. I'm a coming.
Yeah. And when you can show them that they can transition from success to significance.
That's huge.
Wow.
And how to have that significance in their life of looking beyond the work and how that can affect other people, that's one of the greatest rewards you can feel.
You're exactly right, Ron. It's amazing when they actually look like they need permission.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest. I can't even describe it. It's the weirdest thing. They look at you and say, "Am I allowed to do that? What you're just talking about, Ron?" And you go, "Well, who said you can't?"
Right.
And before you know it, they reach out and they touch it. And they go, "God, that was fun." And I go, "I know it was fun, but you have to now you have to brainstorm. And how do I, once you get it on the table, and I call them icebergs. The iceberg pops up. Then you have to really start to ask very detailed questions of yourself. And this is what is very hard to do. And people, a lot of times, that's that process of looking in the mirror, and you got to get naked a little bit, where you got to sit back and go, well, if that's something I really love to do, am I willing to go and hone what it is that it makes me so good in that? Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean I have to, and before you know it, they're afraid to go there.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing, but you give them permission, they touch it, they get a little more confidence, and they go, and they go, and they go. And before you know it, then you can't stop them.
And the more you work on that, the more you reprogram that operating system.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking in the mirror naked, please don't take selfies.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, but the one point about that is the way you start that process is because when you are in a successful environment, you're focusing on yourself and your success.
Yeah.
When you're in a significance environment, you're focusing on others.
Absolutely.
And if you can take people through that transition of changing the focus from themselves to the benefit they bring to others, that's like the aha moment.
It is.
That's it. And yeah, you were saying.
I was saying,
So and then the T in reboot is test. And I know, Kim, you have to seek that feedback, right? Especially in your business and what you do and how you help people to make it better, make the next event better, make yourself better, make sure you're on that right path. There's test. But one of the things we got to do to test is ask for feedback and not get too upset with the feedback that we get, right? Or get overly joyed, right?
The feedback will be different on every single event that I do. And because the person I'm working with is different and their expectations vary, some people are just easier to go through that path with than others.
Yeah.
But you learn things along the route.
So who do you tend to listen to then?
Mostly me.
Very good. That's funny, but it's so true when you're chasing after your purpose, right?
We just went through tax time, and can you prepare?
Did that happen already?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes,
It is today.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Can you prepare your own taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. How long will that take you?
Right.
And
Yikes.
are you going to be comfortable filing that tax return?
Right.
Probably not.
Your confidence is
probably not.
Right.
You hire a professional. You go to an accountant. You go to H&R Block. You go to a company that can do it for you, and you'll rest easier knowing that they have the knowledge, they have the expertise, they've been doing this longer than you have, and you're going to feel more comfortable about that.
Yeah.
Same thing with an event coordinator. I've done this over 25 years. I've done thousands and thousands of events. You're just going to feel more comfortable because I'm probably going to see something that you may not have.
Mm-hmm.
The night before your event, you're going to be a total wreck.
Yeah.
Thinking about all the things that you might have missed. I'm just there to hold your hand.
That's it. And the thing that I love about that is you're going to want to listen to the people who are living their purpose and passion, right? That's what you do, right? Mm-hmm. It's not every day that Coach throws an event, right? And
I
so
would like to throw one every
so
day.
even though we need to, so many people will go out there and try to attack and find their purpose, their passion, all by themselves, out in the jungle, elephant hunting, without any support, right? Without any professional people going that direction.
So then you face the elephant.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just the elephant. What, you go on safari. What else is out there?
Yeah.
Hey,
Lions,
there's
tigers and
bears.
I mean,
Oh, my.
absolutely. There's what are the quicksand? There's the stuff that happens. And would you ever go on a safari without a guide? I mean, how would you do that?
I mean, no, right.
Why would you do that? I would never.
I want
do that.
Tarzan. I want
I mean,
Tarzan.
Absolutely.
Look what happened to the 6 people on Gilligan's Island without a guide. I mean, they were there for years.
Right.
It's terrible.
3
And there was
hours
quicksand.
show.
That's it. But rolling that out, I think I hear in the distant future. Wait, can you
Is that
hear?
I hear? What is it?
And now it is time for Rancher Ron and his East Texas wisdom.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me.
Hey, Rancher Ron feeding East Texas wisdom to a hungry herd of Americans. Down here at the Flying Double H Ranch, there's a lot of care and consideration given into the name of the ranch. And the flying deals with my passion for aviation. The way I got into being an aviator was we had planned a weekend sailing trip from Newport Beach to Catalina Island, 26 miles across the sea, actually about 40 from Newport Beach. And we got down to take the boat, and we walked down the dock to this old wooden shack, and a voice like Captain Bligh booms up. It says, "Mates, I can't rent you the boat." I said, "What do you mean you can't give us the boat? We reserved it a month ago." "Did you see that red triangular flag flopping in the wind?" We looked up, and sure enough, old tattered, torn flags flapping in the wind. He says, "Small craft warnings. You can't take the boat." Well, 4 guys that came onto that dock like a bunch of Navy SEALs on a mission hung our heads, and we shuffled off the dock like the Walking Dead. And my friend Frank says, "Hey, plan B." We perk up and say, "A plan B? What's that?" He says, "I've got a 6-seat 206 Cessna at Fullerton Airport and a place in Lake Tahoe that we can go up and spend the weekend. We're packed anyway. Let's go." Well, boy, that sure changed my outlook, because I was looking at 7 trips to Home Depot to find a washer to fix a faucet. I didn't want to go home. So we go and we buy a newspaper and look at the satellite picture, because that was before phones that had radar on them. And we noticed that the storm causing the small craft warnings were coming in from the north. I looked at Frank and says, "Isn't Tahoe north?" We hung our heads, and he goes, "Yeah, but look how clear Mexico is." So 4 guys go to Fullerton Airport with too much luggage, overloaded testosterone, and we jump in and zoom off the runway headed for Mexico. We spent that entire weekend dirt strip hopping down Baja, going into little towns where you would buzz the town twice to make sure that no one was on the runway, which happened to be Main Street, a dirt strip in the middle of the town. And we got down to the Hotel Serenidad Mulegé and had a Saturday night pig roast, and it was right then and there. I looked at Frank and I said, "I have got to learn how to do this." So my next weekends and every extra dollar went into learning how to fly. And I enjoyed flying, and I got more proficient at it, and I started giving away Buffalo Burger trips for 2 to Catalina Island at charity auctions. Well, one fellow that I'd known for a while, didn't know him real well, bought one of those trips and asked if his son could go with me. in addition to he and his wife, and they'd buy the burgers. And I said, sure. And we went to Catalina Island, and he sat at the table and said, you know, I haven't flown for 25 years. And I sat at this very table when I decided to move from Texas to California. And out of that flight, he ended up becoming involved with the Ransom Heart Ministries, flying around the country in his own plane with donor relations, having coffee with guys, and just being a source of encouragement to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of guys around the country. And I realized that out of that, the purpose of aviation wasn't flying the aircraft. The purpose is to introduce people to new experiences that may become their passion, and through that passion, help and affect others. And I started to think about our lives and the experiences that we have, and how great it is that we can experience life and have fun doing it and find out that good comes out of it. And I've watched people in corporate America, and I mean, we've all worked next to people that quit 2 years ago, but just didn't tell the boss yet.
That's so true.
And I started to think of why do people get to that point? What is it that causes them not to enjoy what they're engaged in? And I found out that we don't get burned out because of the things we do. We get burned out because we forget the reason we began doing them in the first place. That's what our purpose is.
That's a great statement, Ron, that we forget. You know, we get so busy, life gets in the way, we hit that quicksand, we run into that lion in the woods, and we forget what drove us there. Now, it sounds like you didn't plan to become a pilot.
I did not plan that.
And that's the title of Ron's book, I Did Not Plan That. If you go to ididnotplanthat.com, is that correct? You can find the book?
Absolutely.
Or The Greater Journey. You can find Rancher Ron, thegreaterjourney.com. You can find more about Rancher Ron and how to get more East Texas wisdom. Now, I hope you are compiling all these stories to put them into a book.
You know, I was thinking that this weekend, too, as I was listening to some of our past shows. I'm like, man, all this Rancher Ron wisdom, talk about an e-book or a regular book, boom. I would ask for a free copy, but I would pay for it if I didn't know it.
Gotta love it.
After that, I'm grateful.
I'll provide the editing of the rough draft.
There you go.
If Deke would pay for the book, that would be significant.
That's right. There's no greater gift you can give or receive than to honor your calling. It's why you were born and how you become most truly alive. Words couldn't be more true from our good friend of the show, Oprah Winfrey. I really don't know if she listens, but we'll throw a plug for her out there.
We'll tell you guys. See what we
my encouragement to people is don't get lost by being consumed by looking for your purpose.
Big.
Let your purpose find you.
Yeah.
But be open to looking for it, to being there, doing what you have, and be open to finding out that maybe what you thought your purpose isn't really your purpose.
Yeah.
Well, I've been with networking for a while. I belong to the McHenry Chamber since 2001, and I was at an event in Crystal Lake many years ago, and I was emceeing the event, and there's this gentleman there with a nice Garcia tie on. And he was the postmaster of McHenry at that time and preparing for his retirement to embark on a career in Legal Shield by the name of Frank Hostica. Frank and I started, connecting at mixers and other chamber events. Eventually, I officiated Frank's wedding. We became very close friends. One day last year, he said, there's this manager, BMO Harris Bank, you need to meet this guy. Well, okay, and I gave him a call, and that guy called me, and we played phone tag for a while. And then finally, on June 14th last year, we met face-to-face the first time. And when you talk about your purpose and your passion, on that day was when two bald guys and a microphone became a reality. We sat down for dinner to talk about it. We looked at the show. We said coffee with coaches clutch.
Yeah.
We looked at a plate glass mirror, not unlike this one right here. And Kent said,
Why not two bald guys and a microphone?
And that was how this show came in, which is rapidly becoming our passion.
Yeah.
Without question.
I can't believe you remembered the exact date.
Oh yeah, Flag Day.
Wow.
Flag Day.
I met my wife on May 6, 1974. I asked her to marry me on June 24th. I put the ring on her finger on July 9th. Do I need to go on with dates in my goofy brain?
The weirdest thing, I always say my memory's as long as my hair. He's got a steel trap in there. This guy is amazing.
We are closing in on the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So we need to let the world know that you are listening to WHIWLP 101.3 FM out of Harvard, Illinois. WHIWHarvard.com is where you can find us on the internet. If you go to our webpage, twobaldguysandamicrophone.com, you'll find all of our links up there, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, the ones we know how to use. And then there's other Snapchat and Twitter that we need to find a 12-year-old to teach us the appropriate etiquette within this world of social media. In the room with us today also is Rich Rostron. Rich is helping us with our
Rich publicity.
He's out here getting us found and known. At the top of the hour, we go into the pause for the cause.
And we just want to make sure, folks, that at the top of each hour, we always want to make sure the FCC is happy. So we'll always say you're listening to 101.3 FM, WHIWLP out of Harvard, Illinois. And we bring that up because we are a 501c3.
501c3.
It's all volunteer here. So this is like PBS, right? We need sponsors. We need members. And to become a member of
How do you become a member?
If you go to www.whiwharvard.com, you right there on the main page, you can click on the link that says become a member. You can become a member if you're an individual for as little as $35 a year. A year. We're always looking for great people and great businesses to sponsor shows. And you can do that for as little as $125 a month.
It's actually $120. We give them a $5 discount.
There you go. So $120, which is fantastic. And when we now say you're listening to Two Bald Guys and a Microphone, brought to you by
and Northern Illinois Windows and IW Services. They take the pain out of window cleaning. And IW, there's a lot of W's in the show today. Yeah. Northern Illinois Window Services, William J. Thomas, Phil Thomas, our good friend, has been in business for a little over 25 years. So he's got the experience necessary to make sure that first view people have when they get to your place of business is a good one. He talks a lot about being a transparent business. You notice when the windows are dirty, you don't notice when they're clean. And he wants to make sure you're not noticed. So NIW Services out of McHenry, Illinois. You can find them. The phone number is on the chat stream right now. Kent, I saw you put it on there. It's not in front of me. Do you have a phone number where you can read it?
No, I don't.
We'll get it for you in just a second.
You're beautiful. I've got like I've got 8 screens.
Name of a good eye doctor.
Yeah, right. I've got like eight screens going right here, which is fantastic. But right after we make the FCC happy with 101.3 FM WHIWLP out of Harvard.
WHIWLP 101.3 FM out of Harvard.
We always pause for the cause at 7, and pausing for the cause is we like to bring up charities. We like to bring up great things that are doing great things in the community. Anything out there this morning?
Right now, I want to talk about something that happened at the Scramble in McHenry. While I was emceeing, I got a phone call from my son Brandon, and his coworker Mike Schultz. Their family's house burned down in Lakemore that morning. We were able to start the networking process right there, and by the end of that meeting at 1:30, I was able to hand over $200 and a $50 gift card to a restaurant. The Super 8 in Woodstock, Illinois has provided housing for them for the next 8 weeks. This family, they were renting the house and they lost everything. One of the sons had been saving for a certain computer system and he had $3,000 in his room. They weren't even able to grab their cell phones. It happened so fastly. Fastly? That's a new word. We're working on the Wikipedia version. They had to jump off the second-story balcony to get out. The family dogs both got out. They lost the cats. They lost the birds. Basically, they lost a lot in this fire. And so there's a Groupon. My goodness, the tongue keeps getting wrapped around my eye tooth.
He's already on the cruise. You see this?
Right.
He's
Yeah,
already
Cruise. Did somebody mention cruise?
Fast.
Right.
There is a GoFundMe page. We'll get that exact page up and plug it on the site. This is a family that could really use some support. Just want to give them a shout out. There are 4 boys, 2 still in high school. 1 just graduated, and then Mike works, my son, I think 23, 24 years old. And then obviously mom and dad. So if you'd like to do something for them, you can contact us through our email at twoballguysandamicrophone@gmail.com, or reach out to us through the website. But we'd be more than happy to take any type of clothing donations. They're basically, when they move into a new place, they're going to need everything from furniture, pots and pans to. The Servpro was at the Scramble.
Yeah.
Ariel from Servpro got there and met me at the site and provided toothbrushes, toothpaste, all the toiletry items, shaving equipment for all of the family members. So there's a lot of people, jumped up right away. When there's a crisis or emergency, that's kind of what we do.
That's it. Fantastic. And now, I don't know, Coach, if you've got anything teed up for Coach's Cadence.
One of the things that's been just playing on my mind is if. I know I've said it before, but we have a lot of new listeners. So this is written by Rudyard Kipling in 1897. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, yet make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied to, don't give in to lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat these 2 impostors both the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about the loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. There are so many lines in that poem that really strike home, but one of them that gets me right now, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat these 2 impostors both the same. As I watch youth athletics and I see a young person, score a goal or make a basket or get a great defense, the things that they're supposed to do, but yet they copy the NFL and the MLS and all the professionals. They just go out throwing their hands up in the air and pulling their shirts over their head and celebrating that. Really? Because you need a whole bunch more of those, you're going to win. You're losing like 5-0. Right.
I did that this weekend. The crowd and the girls.
Which is how he tore his rotator cuff, but that's another story.
It's weird. And then they're like, please put the paper bag
on. And how many times have you seen an offensive lineman who's just made a great tackle? He jumps up in the air and then blows a knee when he comes down. Right. His career's over.
That's right.
Because he's celebrating. On the other end of that, when disaster strikes like it just did to this family, they'll get through this. And sometimes you'll get through it better. A couple of years ago, I had about $500 worth of soccer equipment that I would take with me to every coaching session, between cones and soccer balls and ladders and all this stuff. And the kids always pick everything up. That's one of the things. Pick it up, put it in my car, and they would always do that. Well, on this particular night, they put it behind my car. A parent was standing by the front of my car, and we had a conversation, a good one. And I walked around the front of the car, got in, drove away. That was in McHenry. The next day, I was coaching in Richmond. I went to the back of my van to pull my soccer equipment out, and there was nothing there. Well, of course, I knew where it was, and I went back. It wasn't there. Somebody took all that soccer equipment and whatever they did with it,
finders keepers.
Started their own soccer club. I mean, there was enough stuff there. And it was it was kind of devastating, and I was really upset by it. Within 2 days, I had more soccer equipment by guys who had coached before, people who found out about this. I wanted with more jerseys, more cones, more ladders. I had the little expandable bench to go on the sideline because most soccer fields don't have benches for the kids, and if they can't sit, they lose their focus really quickly. I'm talking about me, the coach, not the kids.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing to see what people will do when crisis strikes. So when you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat these two imposters both the same, one of the strongest lines out of that. And the other one I always look at is don't look too good nor talk too wise. And I always think about Ron because he talks so wise all the time.
And he looks good.
He looks good. He's got hair that
nice flow.
He's got hair that makes women are jealous of Ron's hair.
That's it. So this morning, right, we're talking about finding your purpose. We're live here in studio. You'll see we've got Kimberly S. Kreml, CMP.
CMP.
Boy, there's some fancy initials back there.
So I have no idea what that means.
Certified meeting planner.
That's it.
Is that it?
That's actually, certified meeting professional.
I would never have known.
Would you ever even have thought there'd be something as a certified meeting professional?
Not till I met you. It's wonderful, right? That's awesome. And of course we've got Matthew Barafato. Am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely.
The author of Elephant Hunting, which is fantastic. Which, as I was reading the book, is there's great stuff in here. But it reminded me of once upon a time there lived 6 blind men in a village. Have you heard this one? Yeah, that's a good one, right? One day the villagers told them, "Hey, there is an elephant in the village today." They had no idea what an elephant is. They decided, even though we would not be able to see it, let us go feel it anyway. These 6 blind guys. All of them went up to the elephant, where the elephant was, and everyone touched the elephant. Hey. "The elephant is a pillar," said the first man who touched his leg. "Oh no, it is like a rope," said the second man who touched the tail. "Oh no, it's like a branch of a tree," said the third who touched the trunk of the elephant. "It is like a big hand fan," said the fourth man who touched the ear of the elephant. "It's like a huge wall," said the fifth man who touched the belly of the elephant. "It is like a solid pipe," said the sixth man who touched the tusk of the elephant. Well, all of these men, They began to argue about the elephant, and every one of them insisted that they were right. It looked like they were getting agitated. As a wise man was passing by and saw this, he stopped and asked them, "What is the matter?" They said, "We cannot agree to what the elephant is like." Each one of them told what they thought the elephant was like, and the wise man kind of chuckled and calmly explained to them, "All of you are right. The reason every one of you is telling it differently is because each one of you touched a different part of the elephant." Right? So actually, the elephant has all those features, right? And as we're talking about chasing your purpose, and finding your purpose in life, it's like the elephant. Depends where you're at, right? In that chase.
Depends. Would have to be very big for an elephant.
It would. It would.
Why did that's not an elephant? Why did the elephants get kicked out of the swimming pool?
Why did that?
They kept lowering their trunks.
Thank you very much. So,
Move along.
yeah, rolling right along. The weather outside.
It's frightful.
So and Matt, you have written a book, and where can people find more about elephant hunting and finding, discovering, and accomplishing their
my website is www.elephanthunting.net, and within that website you'll be able to take a peek at different places where I'll be speaking as well. We'll be updating that website very soon. but you made a point about when you really find, and I was listening to Ron as he was talking a little bit about when you actually find that piece that is your purpose, okay? And usually when you find that thing that's most important to you, there is an elephant attached at the end of it. Or, it's like people they're thinking this thing like what an elephant looks like. And they go, no. Well, I had my middle daughter just had a son, as my first grandchild. And you look at that grandchild and you go, well, it's a grandchild. It's this, and he goes, no, it's an elephant. And people don't realize when things are important to you, it's an elephant.
Yeah.
It always is an elephant. And what happens is elephants are big. And if you're not careful, they will kill you or you'll kill it. With regard to, again, metaphorically.
When they try to eat you.
Well, that's what you do. Yeah. That's what's going to happen to it. So it's my job is to let them see that people stop because they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And why do they get overwhelmed? Is because you have 7 arenas that we all live in. And what happens is you have many elephants. There's not just one elephant you have. And what happens is when you're focusing on this one over here, it's usually attached to 2 or 3 other arenas. And that's when they get overwhelmed. They're going, oh my gosh, I'm talking about my wife here. Oh, by the way, I recommend you don't call your spouse an elephant, although they are, although they are an elephant in your world. And they're attached to your financial world, they're attached to your spiritual world, your mental, your family. It's like these different arenas, and that's what gets people overwhelmed. And then they get paralyzed, and they go, now what do I do? And that's why, in order to get the water down, because when the water's up to here, you're not really paying attention. When it's over here, you don't care.
Right.
You got to get the water down below your chin.
Yeah.
And when you do that, and how do you do that, is you define who are you as the ideal person within that arena, and that's when you're looking face to face at that elephant.
That's awesome.
And when you do that, it can be overwhelming if you don't do it, if you don't articulate it.
Right. So, so in your life, right, how did you get the water down? I mean, what were you doing before you started, elephant hunting?
Well, and that's why I'm a case study of elephant hunt, of what I'm talking about, because I'm very good at the insurance, in the insurance world.
Okay.
Health insurance to small employers. 35 years I've been doing it.
Wow.
I'm very good at it. I don't love it.
Right.
I'm very good at it though, guys. As a matter of fact, and that's how I pay my mortgage. But what I love to do is having an elephant hunting conversation with somebody, or an elephant conversation with anybody, and people go, they get excited because I'm letting them get excited about their passion.
Sure.
And then I'm giving them how to do it. So how did I do it? Well, what I did was started to eat it one bite at a time. I started to speak. And what I would do is I would not let my insurance business go to suffer, but I would get out there and speak to these groups that needed speakers. Okay? I didn't get paid in the beginning. Now I'm starting to get paid at that.
Yep.
And what happens is you don't realize, and then when I did enough talks, they all said, you better write a book. I go, really? You know how many, my English teacher is rolling over in his grave knowing that I've written a book.
Right.
I go, but that's what, it gives instant credibility.
Yeah.
Because you have a book. And when you do that, you just, a lot of people read my book and they get stuck. They read it, and because really what happens is it forces you to look in the mirror.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like what they see. And if they say that, they're missing the point.
Yeah.
Because you can change. And again, what Ron was saying is that's how you have to begin to be willing to change.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to make it happen if you don't change something. Because usually it's a lot bigger.
Do people really think about their passion? I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
They
why.
don't think at all about it. They think, you're wrapped up in the day-to-day.
Right.
I have to go to work. I have to make money. I have to take care of my family. The car needs oil. Right. It's just the whole routine of it. You don't think about anything that might be enjoyable.
And that's why they don't believe. And that's when they don't believe, they're not going to change that shift in focus. And when they do taste it, they go, God, that tasted good. How do I get back to that? And I go, well, keep doing a little bit of it, and then you'll figure it out. And then find someone who's doing it full time and ask them to be a mentor to you.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they love doing that. And before you know it, they'll start touching it. And that's when, why do you coach, Tim? I know why you coach, because people have blind spots.
Hey, Ron just had cataract surgery.
Yeah.
You gotta know. Come on.
Hey, there's
Driving a Ford
another
now.
component to this also. I don't know if it's in your book, but the way they train elephants for the circus so they don't run off is when they're babies, they use a very thick chain tied to a stake that's in a concrete block in the ground.
Yep.
And when the elephant's very young, it pulls against the chain. It can't break the chain. And as the elephant grows, they make the chain smaller and smaller, and they then transition to a small rope that when the circus went on the tour, they would pound a stake in the grass, put a rope on the elephant's foot. It would never pull against the stake, because it had trained itself that whatever its experiences in the past would keep it from doing from what it wanted to do. And many times we get into the chains of, I can't do that because I have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't enjoy that because I hate my job.
Right.
And we have to go back, and the old saying that we use at the ranch, don't water last year's crops. That you have to go out and say, you know what, I've got to also evaluate the chains that are holding me back.
Right.
Right.
Well, and one of the things we talk about a lot is an alcoholic doesn't know he's an alcoholic just because somebody else told him it's an alcoholic. He doesn't get it until he figures it out himself. The jerk doesn't know he's a jerk till one day he looks in the mirror and says, you're a jerk. People don't get it until they have somebody on the outside bring it up and make them say it. They
In
have
their words, they say it. You're exactly right.
And that's why, if you've ever been to an open meeting of AA, they always step up and say, hi, I'm A, right? And it's the way it starts, because once you make the admission, then you can find out what you need to do to fix it.
Right.
But until you're willing to say, hey, I'm a speaker. I'm not an insurance salesman. I'm a speaker. I think it's Sister Act 2. Goldie or Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg, Goldie Hawn. Whoopi Goldberg
One of those gold
is
people.
talking to the girl who should be singing, and she gives her this book about the poet. And the line, she tells her about the book, and the guy says, when you wake up in the morning and all you can think about is writing, then you're meant to be a writer. And she says, well, what's that got to do to me? And she says, girl, if you wake up in the morning and all you can think about is singing, you're supposed to be a singer. And that's that passion. When you wake up in the morning and this is the thing you're thinking about, and hopefully it wasn't a bad dream, but that first thing you're thinking about, that's going to start you moving in that direction that you want to go.
A big part of what I do for people is I give them a new perspective on brainstorming. Okay? And Ron, to your point, really how you have to be able to discover those blind spots, or where that chain is holding you back. And that's part of the mirror. You look in the mirror, you don't like, you go, oh my gosh, I got to maybe change that. But the brainstorming is in everything.
Yeah.
And it starts where, I love Tony Buzan, because Tony Buzan has written 23 books on mind mapping. He created mind mapping. And it's amazing, because when you actually think the way your brain thinks and on paper, it blows your mind significantly, because you are able to throw these ideas down. And so when I'm with people, I want their words, and I say, so if I ask them, what do you love to do? Write it down, and I'll have a piece of paper. And I have them write it all over, and I like to have them use a pen that is in their favorite ink color, and I let them start to write these things. And when they brainstorm, these ahas start coming. They go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I haven't really looked at that. I look at your studio here, and the two bald guys and a microphone, the whole concept. When you're not paid for, and this is a nonprofit. Well, you know what? I can see the passion I have always seen the passion, because I know Tim through Freedom One. And when you guys brainstormed this idea, I'm sure it didn't look like this the first time you said, what is this going to look like?
It was just like this. It was exactly
I saw us holding a real long, skinny microphone like Bob Barker.
Right, exactly. Right.
Price is right.
That's it.
Or planification. When you're looking at the brainstorm you did to really visualize what is your company going to look like, that is the kind of thing that you need. A lot of times you need help to. People will ask you questions because you're just going, I'm not sure, and you go, well, no, write it down, and then worry about which one are you going to keep.
Yep.
And that's part of this whole process.
And folks, that voice and that face that you're listening to, watching, if you're on Facebook, is Matthew Barafato, and elephanthunting.net is where you can go. And the cool thing about his book right here, easy read, which is good. I like that. Good font, so for us older people, it's a little bit nicer.
A lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures. I do love that. But it's interactive, right? I think it's cool. You go to his website and you can download worksheets for that brainstorming,
Absolutely.
which is really, really awesome. And fortunately, I did have a purple pen at home when I was doing this because purple is my favorite color, and it's very interesting.
That explains a lot, actually.
That's right. Royalty. Lakers. And my high school was purple, so I grew up in a purple rain. Anyway, so it's awesome. If you go to elephanthunting.net, you can order the book online. You can buy it for a gift. You can attach a note to it to whoever it is. Which it's a cool read. It's a great book. In there too, though, which we were talking about chapter 11, folks, and eating an elephant one bite at a time. As you started doing this, you said you took 10 minutes a day, right? You wrote this book using 10 minutes a day.
Right.
And to talk to us a little bit about that concept of just taking 10 minutes a day to focus on your purpose, to focus on your passion.
Right. That is probably the thing that gets people's attention most when I speak, and certainly if they've read the book, they go, I wrote this book because I wanted to give a legacy to my girls.
Awesome.
I wanted to say, if I die tomorrow, this is how I did it. It's not the only way. And what I noticed is it's not just my girls who have touched and read it, and they go, Matt, tell me how you did that, because I don't know even where to start with something like that. And so when I started doing my cornerstone values, and that is what chapter 11 is, and that's what I started doing 10 minutes a day. And what happens in 10 minutes a day is that, first of all, you can always have 10 minutes a day. Go to a doctor's office. Come on, really?
Right.
I mean, how much time are you going to be waiting? You go to an appointment, they're 5 minutes late. I always have my stuff with me, my elephant hunting journal with me, because then I just take 10 minutes. Now, I never missed 10 minutes a day, but many days I started with 10 minutes and expanded to an hour.
Yeah.
And doing my cornerstone values, that's how I did it. And that's, if you look at cleaning your garage out, guys and girls, or cleaning something out.
Okay, he's off the show. Hit the mute button. Okay. We're not going to talk about cleaning garage.
No, we're not.
Whatever the project is, you break it in little parts and start at 10 minutes a day. And you know what? If you always do it, and so when I was at Panera Bread is where I wrote most of that book.
Really?
And I sat back, and you know what? If I only had 10 minutes, then I would think, okay, I got to come up with the name of the book.
Yeah.
So I just spend time brainstorming that. What is the book going to look like? The cover, 10 minutes. So you can do a lot of different things with writing a book that take only 10 minutes because these are little things you have to do.
Now in the book, you also say kind of keep it consistent. So you find that 10 minutes, make sure it's whether it's in the morning or in the evening, but making sure that it's scheduled, right, and you're consistent with that. Right. Why is that important?
Well, think about it. I don't know, Kim, are you a morning person or an evening person?
Morning.
Okay. Tim, are you an evening or morning person?
Raised on a farm, 21 years in the infantry. It's like 24 hours a day.
Right, but there's one time that's better than every other time.
Morning.
Okay.
Yeah, way early in the morning. Yeah.
Rich? Morning. Everybody has one of those favorite times. And my point is, save that 10 minutes for that favorite time. Do not wait for the end of the day if you're a morning person.
Yeah.
Because you will not, you're losing that opportunity to let it flourish, because that's what is happening when you take that 10 minutes and it's scheduled. If it's not scheduled, it's not going to Kim's point, it's not going to get done.
Yep.
And that's why I am a believer in that.
And here's the thing too. I think is a neat thing is you were at Panera, right? I think it's important. It's much like treadmills and home gyms and things like that. If they're in your home, you're not going to use them, right? You will, but then there's too many distractions, right? So I have the capability of working from home. A couple weeks ago, my little one was ill, and I worked from home for 2 days. The first day I was okay. The second day, there's too many distractions, right? And what I mean by distractions are, oh, there's a refrigerator right there, or oh, look, she's watching, Mickey Mouse or whatever. You know what I mean?
I could put a load in the washer.
Not me. Hey, laundry in my house is 50-50. I get it dirty, and somebody else cleans it. That's. But so you chose Panera, and that was your place to get your 10 minutes. And I think if you're really chasing your purpose and you're wanting to do that elephant hunting, find that purpose I think you have to find a place outside of maybe your comfort zone, okay, which is great. So here's the neat thing. I mean, and folks, if you don't pay attention to what we do things purposefully here. Last week we talked about no excuses, right? No excuses. Go after it, right? This week we're talking about doing that elephant hunting and chasing and finding your purpose. Next week we're going to be talking about getting out of your comfort zone, right?
I'll be way out of my comfort zone. Wait a minute, I'll be way in my
you'll be
comfort
in
zone.
that comfort zone. That's why we chose it, right? We choose to challenge you while you're out.
Okay, I will water ski behind the cruise.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm going to challenge you on the cruise. I'll challenge you in every vacation you go on. Anybody who goes on vacation, find a favorite spot. Now you're cruising. For me, only one time I did a cruise on the ship at 4:00 in the afternoon when no one else is on top of the deck and you're cruising wherever you're going to. The wind is in your face. Bring a brainstorming sheet with you, and I'm going to tell you, find your favorite spot because ideas that will come to you when you're relaxed, not in your environment. You'll blow yourself away. Be very careful what you're going to put down on paper because this show might explode into something way bigger than you've ever thought.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that.
And
I knew you would.
And I think that we all require being a morning person to be on this show. I've got up myself at 4:00 in the morning.
That's it.
It's 4
I
in
agree.
And
the
it
morning.
took back, an hour and a
Hour
half to
and a half
get
to get
here
here, yes.
from Glenview.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had Phil Gator.
Gator came. Yeah.
He's been on the
he's
show.
Lake
He comes
Forest.
from the same area. Des Clark is down from Lake Villa. So
Yeah.
we've had several people who drive quite a ways.
Hey, Damon.
And Damon's been
Travels.
on the show several times. And the one thing that really gets him is the traffic out here. Oh, traffic report, there is a
There is no
car.
traffic.
There is a car, and it is driving 6 miles an hour. Oh, that's a tractor. That's what a tractor looks like.
That's called a country Cadillac, right, Ron?
Country Cadillac. Which he just had an operation on.
That's right.
I think the other thing is when you go to your brainstorming session, don't go unarmed.
Yeah. What do you mean?
What do you mean
by
by that, Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your brain with you.
That would be helpful.
Good.
I always say don't go to a battle of the minds with no ammunition.
There you go.
My wife will say that I lost my mind a long time ago.
But I will also add to that. So my brainstorming, number one, have your favorite color color pen. Number two, have now because of how iPods and your music is very, Pandora. I love Pandora now. But I always tell people put music on that does not have words. So instrumental and meditation music or whatever. I have a playlist on my iPod. If I can't be online somewhere, it's 7.5 hours worth of
California Guitar Trio is a good one.
But with that music it's not going to interfere with your thoughts. And then you find your favorite place and then you let it run and then capture it and don't lose those sheets because a lot of times we forget that we've written those sheets.
Yeah, that's the big thing. What are you
Well,
doing?
I find a journal book is really good for that.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
I call them an elephant hunting journal, but yes, and I have many journals at home. But the journals are the kind I like for elephant hunting are the ones that are going to be scribbling journals, as opposed to other people. A lot of times, you'll show some people that you can trust.
Yeah.
You're these kind of things because, quite honestly, you're out there with these things, and a lot of times. I always tell people, if you can trust them, that they're not going to trash your ideas.
Yeah.
And some people are looking to sometimes you don't know what side they're on, but if you really trust them, then show them. But it's a scary, and it's a neat book to have, and I can't wait for my girls someday to discover my journals.
Yeah.
My elephant hunting ones are different than my journal, because, Ron, I keep a journal, I journal all the time. And it's really a fun way to, because you're a writer too, Ron, and I know that's how a lot of my ideas come from journaling as well.
I love your idea about listening to music without words. The minute you listen to something with words, what do?
Yeah.
Sing along.
Sing along.
You're
Right.
singing along.
Right.
Poorly in most cases.
I sound just like him.
Like
That's why Facebook shuts us down for copyright infringement.
That's right.
But things without words are inspirational. They reach further down into you than the others.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Well, there's a reason the old guys went to the mountaintop.
And why is
Took all the
that?
distractions away.
that's it, right? The interesting thing too about really spending that 10 minutes and finding your passion, and it comes down to taking it's like taking vitamins. If you miss that 10 minutes, once you get into this, right, and you have that ability to let your mind go and really focus on your purpose. Basketball to me is, I've been playing basketball since I was 18 months old. I had 3 older brothers, so you're in there, right? And there are times where, I can get lost in training sessions online and reading about coaching and doing this. And to your point, it's like sometimes when you're meditating, it can go from 5 minutes to an hour, and you don't even know. But when your day doesn't go as well. I have a journal. We've got our gratitude journal that we do. I've got an affirmations journal. And I've got, my regular daily thing. And if I don't take that 10 minutes to journal on gratitude, to write down my affirmations, to understand, it's like, guys who exercise, people who exercise regularly, when you miss that, your body misses it. Your day seems struggles, and it's really becomes part of who you are. It becomes part of helping you live and chase after your purpose. Right. But so many of our listeners, so many people out there, so many people that we come across will say, I don't have that 10 minutes. I'm not sure what my purpose is. I like to do a lot of things. There's so many, it's like the elephant. It's the leg, it's the trunk. There's so many things, and I don't know if I'm worthy to go after that purpose. As we're talking with people, and how do we get around that? How do we help people if they're listening here and they're like, yeah, but how do you help?
You know what? That's great. If you have a relationship with that person, this is really important. Because if you have a good relationship with that person, you're going to have to challenge that person. Because you just threw me a bunch of excuses, which I'm not going to. If you're talking to me, I'm going to go, how much TV do you watch? Yeah. Just please tell me how much you watch. Is it Gilligan's Island? Is it Friends? Is it whatever show that you love?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have 10 minutes. Really? And what happens is usually you haven't put this purpose in front of you, articulated it, and have it right with you. Because if you did, you wouldn't spend the time watching Friends.
Right.
Because you're going, oh my gosh, I'm not becoming that ideal person that I just wrote down that I want to be. And that is the piece that connects what I've developed and what I'm going to be. I have 2 new books that are coming out this year. One of them is just a 1-chapter book. It's actually going to be a workbook. And it's called The First Bite. And it's taking chapter 11 and putting into this kind of thing into a process. And so what I developed was a thing called the BITE cycle. And the BITE cycle stands for brainstorming, initiate action, tool, organizing tool, and your elephant hunting journal. And everything, so it starts up on top with your cornerstone values, which is the first project that you really do.
You have to.
And you use the BITE cycle to brainstorm to get that. And then from the BITE cycle, from there, it goes to goals. When you've done your cornerstone values and you identify the ideal person you want to be, and then you go, I'm not there yet. Well, let's brainstorm. What could I become? What I need to do to get there? Boom, goes to goals. From goals, it goes to projects. From projects, it goes to tasks. From tasks, it goes to daily activities. And then from daily activities, it goes right to the 3 R's, which is to review,
Arithmetic?
No. Review, and you will have a revelation when you. I'll come to the 3 R's.
Here's what I want you to do.
Yes.
Stop. Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Go to your happy place right now. Find that place. What we have is chemical brain freeze going on right here, folks. We're going to work through this.
You need to ask yourself a question. Why is the grass green? Why does Kim have hair?
That's it. Why is she?
And what are the 3 R's?
Fantastic, right? And so as you come back to that, so many times along the way, Kim, and this goes to anybody listening, whatever, is we surround ourselves with people who say it'll never happen. You're a fool to do this. You've got a good paying job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Life is good. What do you say to people about that, Kim? When they're surrounded by people who are trying to pull their purpose away from them?
Quite often, those people are jealous.
Yeah.
They're just jealous that you're going to pursue your passion, that you even know that there is a passion, and to identify what that is. Some people are very, very happy with status quo and sitting in the same spot and doing the same thing over and over and over again. Gives them some comfort. But for some of us, there's more.
Yeah. And Coach, you, right? I mean, all the trails that you've walked down and been very successful at, you've had your people poking you out on the side saying, God, would you just
get a job?
Right? Yeah, right? And a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur such as you are, that people who are employees, people who are just walking the life,
my wife,
that say, man, I love that I got a good job, I got a nice pension, a good 401k, very comfortable in life, are the ones who, as Les Brown would say, are getting sick going to work, doing jobs that they hate.
Right. Well, my life is all about crisis management. When you grow up on a farm, you deal with what nature throws at you, and you figure out, you've got the plan, you got the plant, you got to lay the fields out. But there's going to be a tornado, there's going to be a hailstorm, there's going to be a lightning ball went down a draw and killed all of my dad's cattle, except the bull, and left him sterilized. So what do you do with a 15-year-old bull who's sterile? It was... The meat's not good at that age, for those of you who aren't aware.
You're like the farm event planner.
Right. Well, and, I left that money in the military as as an infantry officer, and our life is all about crisis management. And then I got a 9-to-5 job, and I don't deal well when things are running smoothly.
Yeah.
So for me, being in this position really helps me drive. I don't sit well behind a desk. When I was in the financial industry for almost 7 years, I was very good at it. 6-figure income, things were going very, very well. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I had become because that wasn't me. We weren't, growing up on a farm, you can't be greedy people because there's no, you have food, you have everything you need, you just don't have a lot of money. Now I had a lot of money, I don't like it. And I like much more who I am today. We're comfortable, and I'm able to help and serve people. And thank you, Uncle Sam, for depositing a check on the first of every month into my account. Please pay your taxes.
That's it. That was a bad plug.
Well, you know what? One of the other things is give yourself permission to go try stuff you're probably going to fail at.
Yep.
But just to experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I went down and became a certified Kansas City Barbecue Society judge.
Wow.
Just to find out what it was like being a barbecue judge. Because everyone kept telling you what great barbecue was.
Now you know.
Now you know.
You're certified. What are the letters for that?
I probably won't judge again because I couldn't eat that much food.
Ron Hostry,
but the thing was is that, I mean, Thomas Edison said he found 10,000 ways a light bulb wouldn't work.
Right.
And I think we have to allow ourselves the freedom to do that. You don't always have to be successful because the success might be you've successfully eliminated something you suck at.
Right.
And Erica and Joe from McHenry County Living have invited us to an event sometime down the road. They were at the Scramble.
Yeah.
Did you find out what the event was?
No.
I found out what the event was. We're going to be judging. Are you ready for this? Right. You're going to get a kick out of this. We're going to be judging macaroni and cheese.
Fantastic.
Wow.
And
what's the problem?
You are allergic to dairy.
I'm allergic to dairy.
Slight problem.
However,
I mean, just by smelling.
However, I think I have the answer. Who are the best judges of macaroni and cheese? Kids. I think we need to bring your children, my grandchildren, and have them be the panel judging the macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Not adults.
Boy, that's using your noodle.
Lucy
And we're
will
up
tear
to
that
9.
up. There it is. And wait, where is it? I lost it. Okay, well, there it is. There we go. I'm standing up. I'm stretching my legs a little bit. Phil Wallace, a listener, friend of the show, he texted me, a great guy, great entrepreneur, author as well. He's authored 3 books. Says, winners are always looking for challenges to overcome. If you want to succeed, you can. The reason most people don't succeed is they don't know who to listen to, right? And we talked about it in the first hour, is surrounding yourself with people who are actually living their passion. So I always say, when we're off the air, when we're off of Facebook Live, is I don't know, I know some of the people coming in. I know who they are, faces, things like that. But by the time this 3 hours is over, it's as if I'm your brother, because you have opened up at your passion, right, your purpose, and shared that with me. And I think people are very, very close that way. But it's amazing how good I feel personally. It's kind of selfish, right, that we bring this to people, but the two of you today encourage me and give me hope and fire up my passion to go for my purpose even more. And then, Wednesday comes perhaps, and it's like, wah, 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 life,
Well, our menu of topics that we can now bring to audiences has expanded by, as many weeks of the show that there is, from Des Clark's 5 Principles of Winning, or 6.
6.
There's 6 of those.
He does a wonderful presentation.
Man, he
I
does.
worked
He
with
really
him
does.
last year.
To Chuck Inman, Chemical Brain Freeze.
Yep.
The Irish,
Go to your
the
hat.
Irish
Go
guy,
to-
happy
go to-
please. Help me out here, Ron. The Stu Schlachman. Stu Schlachman.
Oh, Stu.
From the start of the cross. A
Yeah.
gentleman grew up in as a Jewish boy in the streets of New York and found Jesus later on. He's what did he say, a completed Jew?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
That's what he calls himself. But his book on colors, on personality matches, it really simplifies how to talk. We have, from communication to leadership to now elephant hunting and plantification, we can put things together. Now, we've already talked to Kim about putting an event together with 2 ball guys and a microphone. And, making it very successful. She found us a 2-room shanty in Chicago that
That's
we
it.
can present at.
Yeah, and the big thing is as we're talking about it, is that as you take a look at your operating system, and you're chasing your passion, your purpose, is to continually surround yourself with the things that are going to uplift you. Great books like Elephant Hunting, great books like the Think and Grow Rich, and How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Is that where Rich came from?
That is.
Somebody just thought and grew rich.
Great books and great people.
Yeah, and being around great people, listening to people who motivate you, finding things, like Freedom One, those type of places where you are just surrounded by, 40, 50 entrepreneurs who just have a vibrant life for doing what they want.
You're hitting on a point that's so important with regard to if you're going to be a whole person.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you? What I've discovered on the 7 arenas. Okay, and the 7 arenas are your physical arena, your mental arena, your spiritual arena, your career arena, your family arena, your financial arena, and your social arena.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy. So I believe that there's 3 of them that are above the others, and that's the physical arena, your mental arena, and your spiritual arena.
Yep.
And mental arena, how do you disconnect? You're talking about right now the mental arena. How do you disconnect the mental arena from, if you're on your passion or you're on your purpose, how do you not think about your mental arena? It's going to take you down if you don't spend time to make sure what you want to be within your mental arena.
Right.
And so, when people think that I'm listening to music when I'm cutting the grass or doing snow blowing or whatever, I've got a tape on. I've got an audio cassette on someone that I'm listening, and now
Wait, do you actually have a cassette player, or you?
I actually do. All right, I'm showing. I'm only 39 years old, by the way. You know that, right? As you're laughing. And yes, but
those of you on Facebook, do not adjust your set.
right, you're not. But in my physical arena, here's my cornerstone value. It says I am physically, fit and healthy and excited about life.
Yeah.
And when I attach the age to that, that's 39.
Sure.
Well, now the calendar everyone else uses says I'm 59, but I don't listen to that calendar.
Right.
And in the mental arena, it's the same way. What do you design as the ideal person you want to be in your mental arena? And then, that's the ideal. I'm not there yet, so a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing? What can I brainstorm to become better at that? What other books can I read? What other books can I listen to? Mm-hmm. I love to listen to books as well as read them because of my learning style.
Sure.
And when I didn't, if I would have done that when I was going through high school and college and recorded I didn't realize that it was, when I'd stop and take notes, I wasn't listening to you.
That's the way I am. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love listening to books.
I do too. It's wonderful.
Well,
Hold on.
Except when I get lost in the book and forget that I'm in traffic.
and driving. And driving. Well, 85 to 90%.
I just had a great idea. Listening to Matthew talk there, if you took that macaroni and cheese event, the judging event, you could put that in the Macarena.
We're
right. I didn't know I was going to be this entertained listening to you on this show. I got to listen to this more often.
This is why we're almost to 6,000 views already this morning. Things are flying. So 85 to 90% of the information, if we just go through life, 85 to 90% of what's coming at us is negative. If we want to be a positive person, we have to offset that with positive input. Your input determines your output, right? If 51% of our input, thank you very much, I'll be in the area all day. 51% of what you're feeding your mind has got to be to the positive side of life. There's still going to be the negative things happen. The family's house that burns down, people are still going to get shot. There's still going to be war, and there's going to be Christians losing their heads by some goofball over in the middle of East. But what we have to do is we have to find enough positive stuff to get into our life to offset all the negative information that is out there. And when we'll do that, we can see things in a different light. When we get cut off in traffic, we have two choices. We can either scream and wave with one finger, or we can take a second and say, hey, I wonder what just happened in that person's life. Maybe their dad just had a heart attack, or maybe their house is on fire. If we can take a different view of people will take a different view of us.
That's it.
Good point.
That's beautiful. I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, I will apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. Og Mandino, one of my favorite authors, that guy is. But that bell means...
What does that bell mean?
Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
So what we like to do is we like to roll through and see what made us go,
Now let me talk for a second about the Isn't That Interesting segment.
Yeah.
Frank Hostek and I were attending an event out in Lake County, and it was an event on time management and goal setting, which is one of the subjects I teach. But I thought, wow, it's a new networking event. I'll go out and I'll just meet some new people. And when they're speaking, I'll get my elephant journal out. I didn't think that at that moment, but I will be doing some other things. And then when he's done talking, I'll do more networking. But when he stood up, he said, there might be some of you out here who think you already know a lot about time setting and goal management. I'm like, is he talking to me? He said, you might have a tendency to shut down when I start speaking. However, I would like you to ask yourself a question before you shut down to see if you might take a different look at this and just say, isn't that interesting? So every time you think you know everything about the topic, just say, isn't that interesting? I walked out of there with 3 or 4 new ideas on time setting and goal management that rocked my world.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, from that point moving forward, Frank and I started sharing when we would see something out there that was interesting, somebody driving on the wrong side of the road, someone doing something. Isn't that interesting segment of this show was born. So from the Isn't That Interesting, Ron, what have you got?
I just found it interesting that our greatest growth usually comes after one of our greatest failures.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Very good. And the stress, right? I mean, you got to put a little pressure on, and stress is good, How about you, Coach? What do you got? Isn't that interesting?
I had a parent. His child is the last one to the game every time. He's the one who shows up just at game time. He just finished signing autographs, comes in. As soon as the game's over, he leaves. But at halftime, his dad's the one who comes over and has suggestions on how we should coach the team. Isn't that interesting?
Kim, how about you? Anything this past week that made you go,
Nothing climbs to the top.
Isn't that interesting?
I was though. Tim's taking notes here, and I did hear an interesting statistic about the number of negative messages as a child, as you're growing up.
Mm-hmm. Sit down, shut up, be quiet.
Oh my God!
no,
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you throw that paper in the toilet? Why?
Isn't that interesting?
From the entrance of that entry sign, bottomless pit, 65 feet deep. Isn't that interesting?
That interesting. Matt, anything that made you go,
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that 1 out of 6 people are going to develop Alzheimer's in their lifetime?
That is interesting.
That's
1, 2,
depressing.
3, 4, 5, and Ron. Okay, one of us.
Number 6.
Who is it? What were we talking about?
That's right. Isn't that interesting?
You know, when Matthew was talking about arranging for assisted living for folks, I was wondering if that's a marketing issue. What if we went and told them, you know what, we've arranged a great timeshare program for you.
That's it.
You might be onto something there, Ron.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the people pay good money to go to vacations that don't look much different than that.
That's right. That's so true. What do you got over there, Rich?
I've got bad news for Tim with his macaroni and cheese competition. I got to get closer to the microphone here. That helps. I've got bad news for Tim about his macaroni and cheese competition.
And what is your bad news?
I did a story about the old Wild West Steakhouse, and he talked about how they really worked hard to develop a recipe for this wonderful macaroni and cheese. Kids didn't like it. All they wanted was the Kraft macaroni.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
Can we say that they're a sponsor?
Yeah. No, they are now. That's it.
From another interesting sign, this is a Christian event in Texas, of all places.
There you go.
It's a meal event, and it is called This Sunday, Texas Testicle Festival. And it says, come have a ball with Jesus.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
Ron, did you go to that one?
No, I did. You know
Isn't
what I
that
find
interesting?
really interesting? Is Tim says he's going to be on a cruise and he's going to pull 3 hours away from the buffet to be on the radio with us.
I made her the show right at the buffet.
That's it. Exercise. Yeah, most people do it in the lap pool, but Coach and Frank will be taking laps at the buffet. You're still here? Isn't this interesting? Literally twice this past week, I ran into something and it came out of my mouth. I go, isn't that interesting? And then the next thought was, write that down, Kent, because you won't remember it. And I said, nope, it's so interesting that I will absolutely remember it. This is a conversation I'm having in my head. Here it is Monday morning.
You forgot.
Last night, I was like, what were those 2 things that I was supposed to remember that
Stop.
were so interesting, right?
Breathe.
I did
Go
that
to your happy
4 or 5
place.
times. Isn't that interesting that I didn't listen to my own conversation? But it just there was I know there was just one great one, and it was just like, now it's gone. You know?
Another sign from a flower and gift shop. They had limited room on their sign for Valentine's Day, and so they simply abbreviated it to VD is coming. Get your flowers now.
Valentine's Day is coming.
Wow.
Hey, I've got a real quick story that ties both Kim and Tim together.
Okay.
Ooh, we
For our
rhyme.
30th wedding anniversary, Joni and I took a cruise to Alaska. And I thought, wouldn't it be special if I planned that on the actual day of our anniversary, I would have breakfast brought to our stateroom to be put out on the balcony so that we could wake up and sit on the balcony and look at the beautiful ocean and have breakfast. And sure enough, 7 a.m., knock comes on the door. Guy wheels the cart out. I said, put it out on the veranda there. And he puts it out there and leaves, and I get up and I throw the curtains back, and we're in port. I'm looking at this big granite wall of graffiti, and there's a steam train on the dock pulling the food in for the rest of the stuff.
Close the curtain.
You know, if I had have incorporated a meeting planner,
I would have told you to close the curtain.
Yeah, right.
Just put on the paper sack and let the world see you naked.
That's right. That's right.
Ron, I meant to mention this last week when you said that. April and I went on our 30th anniversary was also the cruise to Alaska. So I think that's the new paper pen gold Alaskan cruise. We got the anniversary honeymoon special. So they brought these strawberry, chocolate-covered strawberries, and they were like the size of a grapefruit. I mean, these things were huge. They brought 6 of them each day, and the first day it's like, oh, I got to make these last. You know, they about 4 seconds they lasted. It was just like, gobble, gobble. By the 7th day of the cruise, I was so tired of seeing chocolate-covered strawberries.
Right. That's awesome.
well, I'll tell you, Kim, I'm going to give you a piece of advice right now. Before you let Kim out of the studio, you sit down and talk to her about the ideas that you're going to have to renew your vows with April on the cruise, since you're performing a wedding on the cruise.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Will you marry me? Does that count? If I officiate my own?
You might. Folks, we are talking about finding your purpose, chasing your purpose, going after your purpose. We've got Matthew Barafato, the great author of Elephant Hunting, discovering and accomplishing the most important priorities in life. Where can they find more out about you, my friend?
On my website is probably the best right now. It's www.elephanthunting.net. And I'm excited about the other book I'm writing. I'm actually co-authoring, so there's 2 things going to come out this year. The first is The First Bite, and then the second one is going to be a book I'm co-authoring with my personal physician, and it's called Your Life's Journey to Health and Well-Being. And it's going to be a really cool book. It's going to be an e-book to start with.
Yep.
And Dr. Mark Levy is my personal physician, and he's a brilliant man. If he was to sit down and talk to you right now about any issue, you'd sit there and you'd be mesmerized with how he would say it, but he can't write.
Oh.
So
Doesn't have hands.
Well, no, he's got hands, but he just can't write. If you would listen, if you'd hear him and then he wrote it down, you go, oh my God. So what we're going to be doing is his part of the book is going to be videotaped, and we're going on the ebook. You're going to click on his icon, and his video will come up. Cool. And speak his part into it.
Oh, beautiful.
And then if you want a copy of a book, we're just going to have it transcribed.
Nice.
So we're really excited about that. That's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, you're listening to Two Bald Guys and a Microphone right here on WHIWLP 101.3 FM out of Harvard, Illinois. We are at the top of the hour. We are at 8 o'clock a.m. Those first 2 hours have just flown by. You can find out more about Two Bald Guys and a Microphone by going to twobaldguysandamicrophone.com, all spelled out except for the dot. That's that little period looking thing, goes right before the com. And you can find us. All of our links are there.
Yes. All of them. Every one of them.
I can't read that.
It says
Sponsored by.
Oh,
you gotta get there. Right. Thank you. That's why.
Sponsored by Northern Illinois Windows, NIW Services out of McHenry, Illinois. His phone number is 815-385-6646. Taking the pain out of window cleaning, or cleaning windows one pane at a time. Bill Thomas also does gutter cleaning. They put up lights and take them down when it gets close to winter. A lot of services.
Could I provide him with some addresses I'd like to see the Christmas lights taken down at?
Absolutely.
It's not July yet.
It has,
it's not.
It has to be by request of the homeowner, and not the neighborhood association. Bill is a very good friend of the show, as well as a good close personal friend. So Bill Thomas, Northern Illinois Windows.
Nice.
Right here at WHIW, we are a 501c3 organization. There are many businesses that are not by profit, not by choice. They just struggle in doing the right things. But at WHIW, we are a 501c3 station. And the cool thing is, we have a lot more shows. There are other shows, folks, believe it or not, than Two Bald Guys and a Microphone.
Brought to you by
at Northern Illinois Windows and NIW Services. One of my favorite shows is on tonight, Monday nights.
Yes.
Recovery Nation Radio. If you don't have time to get to a meeting today and you're in that world, a friend of Bill W., you need to tune in to 101.3 FM or through the TuneIn app that you can download off the website and get your meeting right there.
That's it. Also, Hispanic Household with Carlos Chacon, the second and fourth Thursday of every month from 6 to 7 p.m. Carlos will discuss various topics, problems, and solutions that are important or of interest in the Latino community. He's got a great guest coming on this week, too, and I'll get you that here in a second. But it's like Lieutenant Governor or something weird like that. I don't know.
Speaking of that, Jesse White, our Secretary of State, has agreed to be on our show. We're going to coordinate that in the as we come into the late May, early June. So Jesse White, Secretary of State. I've known Jesse for a few years. He's just such a quality guy.
Giving him a lot of money.
I've given him. I got to give him money too. Both of my license plates come due in April, so I have to get those done before the cruise.
Have you seen the new license plates?
I have not.
No.
They are brand new. There's a Lincoln on the far left side. People are complaining about them, from what I've heard, that they don't like them at all.
Oh, I'm so sorry that they were. WHIW Sports Weekly with Jay Schultz on from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock every day. Jay Schultz, station manager. Quite a guy, quality guy, and loves his sports.
That's it. And then Harry's Trailer Park Basement with Joe Starzinski, the third Saturday of every month from 9 to 11 p.m. This show is about the adventurous and open spirit of music within music first and within many other aspects of artistic expression. No limits on this playlist, so tune in and join Joe as he explores a variety of music.
Many other shows, you can find them all at www.whiwharvard.com. Go to programming, and when you're done looking there, go over to the sponsorship and membership page. Again, we are a 501c3. We are in the air because you are out there. If you can find it in your heart and in your wallet to become a member, it's $35 for a year for a person to keep this show and all these great programs going.
That's it. And now it's time for Deke's Fitness. Health and Fitness? What is it? Deke's Health and Fitness Tips.
Fitness and health.
Fitness and health tips.
Deke's tips.
Tips. Eat more. That's it.
Eat more macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, eating only three daily meals is not necessarily good for you. You should try to eat 5 times a day, about every 3 hours, to stimulate the metabolism, including 2 mini meals between their 3 basic meals. With activity levels decreasing throughout the day, it's good to portion control that, but you should eat more. So if you want to get healthy, eat more. There's my tip.
Eat more. Eat more. One of the things that we have found out in talking to my trainer, one of the things that really works is intermittent fasting. You're not eating less, you're just eating during less hours. 16 hours of fasting, squeeze your 3 meals and 2 snacks into an 8-hour period. So from 8 o'clock at night till noon the next day, if you'll do that 5 days a week, your body will start returning to a more healthy state. Don't take my word for it. Go out on the internet. Do a little research on intermittent fasting 16-8. At 12 hours, your body starts emitting a hormone that starts breaking down glucose and helps your body return to a normal state. Of course, Bloomington is as close to normal as we will ever be. And you can only get that if you're living. I just got a text from our good friend, Damon K. Ross. We're going to bring Damon in for a few minutes as he's getting ready for his day down in Deerfield. So, Ron, how is Joni?
Joni's doing great. I'll tell you, she is taking care of me eye drops. You know, she was worried when she was on her conference this weekend. And the only downside to this whole experience is I'm not supposed to lift anything heavier than a milk carton. And she ran out of gas for the lawnmower to keep mowing the ranch. And I couldn't go down and fill those 5-gallon jugs so she could keep mowing.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
that is a problem. You know, and
You know, you guys were talking about the fitness segment, and I thought about bringing, you know, kind of wrapping our arms around all the things we discussed in the show. I knew a guy that put a paper bag over his head and cut 2 eye holes on it, walked into a liquor store, and he's back to just 3 meals a day right now.
3 square meals. That's right. That's right. That's it. On the phone, of course, we've got a good friend of the show, Damon K. Ross. Damon, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going?
Good morning.
Blessed and highly favored.
Now, you are number 7, so you start the new group of 1 in 6 Alzheimer's. One of us has already been picked here.
That's
We
right.
found out 1 in 6 people are going to have Alzheimer's, so make sure
That's
it's
it.
not you. Eat right.
That's it. Chasing our purpose, going after our purpose in life today. Damon, always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself. Do not go out and look for a successful personality and duplicate it. Always be true to yourself. And that is your purpose. What do you got for us this morning, buddy?
Well, this past Friday, I had a great opportunity to do some training for our TAs at the school, our teachers' assistants, and I was talking to them about having patience. And, you know, it's a really good talk. We have you know, as most of you know who listen and have heard me before, I work at a therapeutic day school, so we work with kids with a range of anxiety disorders. And they can become very dysregulated, and their anxiety can kick in, and it causes them to either act out or just flat out resist and not follow any direction. And for a lot of people, that can be very dysregulating and can cause you to become impatient. So I did a training talking about having and developing the right mindset in order to not become so impatient and to be more patient. And one of the things that I talked about, which actually ties into today's topic, is I talked about your purpose and passion. And my communication to the TAs was, you have to be passionate about working with our student population, and you have to be passionate, and it has to be somewhat of a purpose of yours to help our students become the best that they can become. Because if you can't get into that mind frame, if this is not your purpose and your passion, you're going to be in a constant state of impatience and dysregulation, and it's not going to serve our students to their best, and it's also going to, you know, be harming to each individual. So, you know, I was able to kind of tie that in, and I got some great feedback from one of the TAs. They sent me an email on Saturday morning, you know, just thanking me for the training. And, you know, he said something interesting. He was like, you know, I'm glad you mentioned something about, you know, people being here with a purpose and having a passion, because there's a lot of people that he said popped into his mind that just didn't necessarily fit the vision of the school and have that same purpose and passion of working with these students and helping them develop. And he said, I'm glad it was you that was the one up there, because you said it in such a non-judgmental way that people were able to receive the message. He said, because I don't know how I would have said it.
Nice.
So, but it's just, you know, just love the topic today of finding your passion, because, you know, that's one of the things that I really try to instill into our students, is for them to find their passion and, you know, find their purpose, even at a young age, to start, you know, examining and looking at their lives and figuring out what it is that they want to do, and how can we help them, you know, get on that path.
Yeah, I think it was Pablo Picasso who said the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away.
I thought he said, has anybody seen my ear?
You're speaking to my other ear. But yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, Damon. It is fantastic. And I wanted to ask him, you know, at what point in your life, right, did you say, man, I want to be a CMP, or that's where I can help and give my gift away? When did that come? I mean, were you 6? Were you 7? Always doing tea parties?
No, that was an accident.
Yeah.
It was a total accident.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't.
And there you go, folks.
That's good radio right there.
There you go.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than skillful, and as you chase your purpose in life, hopefully you trip and fall on it. So, at what point? How long have you been doing what you're doing?
About 25 years.
25 years.
I took a job as an administrative assistant.
Okay.
And the company that I worked for did quite a few trade shows and user seminars.
Yeah.
And when I thought my job would be filing and typing, it became a little bit more. And over time, I really truly enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
I don't know that it is my passion, thanks to Matt here, but
You're welcome.
Yeah.
but I'm good at it, and I've been doing it for a very long time, and it's it's making something a success.
Yeah, and folks, that's Kim Kreml. She is the owner of Planification. Kim, if the people want to know more about what you do, how you do it, if they're looking for your service, where can they go?
They can certainly go to my website, www.planificationgroup.com.
Yeah.
Actually, planification is actually pronounced planification. It is a French word. It means planning in French.
Planification.
Very cool.
Well,
We just leveled up.
I'm from Iowa, so I thought it said
Planification.
I thought it said plantification.
We when I first met Kim, she was the manager at Lake County. What was it called? The Convention Center.
The University Center of Lake County.
University of Center, and her tagline was, "I rent rooms
by the hour." Because we did. You got to come up with something catchy that people are going to remember.
That's it.
And that seemed clearly that did seem to work.
This is probably 12 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
That's great. And folks, I ask you that because, and you had just kind of mentioned, well, I don't know if that's really my passion. You bring a lot of joy to a lot of people because of your skill, your personality, what you do, and how you do it, right? And then that's important, right? And
It is.
And
White
unbeknownst to you, you've probably been helping people find a little bit of joy or a little bit of their purpose in life through these events and things of that nature. And you say, you don't know if that's your true passion, but there has to be a piece of that passion because of the vibrancy that you have, right?
Of course.
That I think that you
And I try
have.
to bring that vibrancy to everything I do.
Yeah, you really do, truly.
I truly do, because you can do something calmly and or not.
Right.
Hi, welcome to Two Bald Guys and a Microphone.
See, it makes a difference.
Two bald guys and a microphone. So it's that energy that you talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen Kim speak several times, and Kim, while you're at the podium, there's never a podium when you speak because you're like all over the place, but you kind of make fun of yourself and make fun of public speaking while you do it, but you are actually one of the most accomplished public speakers I've run into in a long time.
Well, thank you.
When you use humor to touch people's lives without question, where did you come up with this gift, or did it just show up one day?
When I first began speaking in front of crowds, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. But introducing a little bit of humor into it makes it much easier on me and much more enjoyable for the person listening. So I always try to make that an integral part of my presentations.
And making people laugh is a special gift.
It is. Well, we saw Yale do a presentation last week, and that was enjoyable at Freedom One. We truly loved it.
The Throne was my favorite of all.
That was great. The Throne, the multi-level.
It was live stream. You could go back to
Yeah.
Freedom One and watch it. But there was a bathroom that there was a urinal, a sink, and the obvious throne, the toilet
commode
that were on all different levels. And you were talking about feet. They were 2 or 3 feet higher than the other things, and if you're sitting on the commode and you're more than 5'2", you're probably hitting your head on
When you stand up.
on the ceiling.
Yeah.
That was
It was funny.
It was very interesting. I was just imagining.
But you'll remember that.
Yeah.
You'll remember those little bits of humor in the presentation.
Well,
So even in the crappiest of situations, you can find your purpose, right?
when I first started moving more into the speaking world, I was talking to my dad, who was a farmer, and I said, "Dad, I've been doing a lot of speaking." And he said, "You want to be a good speaker?" He said, "No, I want him to name a vacuum cleaner after me, Dad." "Yeah, I want to be a good speaker. Why?" He says, "Then tell people what they want to hear. Once you got them listening, sneak in what they need to hear." And that's really where, the edutainment piece comes in. And most of us do it, educational entertainment. We just don't classify it at that. We think we're teaching people. And we're not teaching, we're engaging. And when you can engage your audience, when you got them laughing, when you got them giggling, maybe when you got them crying, occasionally. You don't want to use that one too often. But when you can touch the emotions, when you can touch the heart, you can affect their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to touch the tears if you're doing a fundraiser.
That's it.
That's what's going to raise
guilt
your
on the
money.
heart.
Guilt.
That is
So,
the key point.
You know, there's an old saying that you don't have to be funny to be a professional speaker. You have to be funny to get paid as a professional speaker.
Absolutely. That's good.
yeah. So Kim, as you're helping people plan, right, for an event, what are the simpler first steps that you talk to them about in that plan?
Budget is hugely important for most anything you're going to do. It's going to be guided by however much money that you can effectively use, and that's a gray area because there are creative ways to increase your budget and to increase the amount of money that you have to work with. We're doing this with the Alden Kennel event coming up in June. We've identified a couple of possible revenue streams that will help increase that budget, increase that event. We need to talk about what kind of results we want to see at the end of the event. We want to talk about matching a venue to the event, thinking about all the considerations. I went to a birthday party a year ago for a neighbor of mine who was turning 90. And the venue they selected was on a second floor without an elevator.
Wow.
So there's some
What's wrong with that picture?
Yeah.
there's some really common sense.
He
things
could probably
you
get
need
up the stairs just fine. It's all his friends.
Yeah.
Sure,
Well, what
sure.
friends are still remaining.
Right.
So there's a lot of common sense that goes into it.
Yeah.
But you want to hear the applause at the end.
That's it. And and here's, folks, you're probably sitting there. Here's
Thank
the
you.
applause. You're a lot of you may be sitting there and saying, "Wow, you have this elephant hunter and a planner." Right, but understand how twisted sometimes Coach and I are as we take a look at our shows. And
I resemble that.
yes, you do. As we're elephant hunting, we're chasing that purpose. Right. One of the interesting things you said that you kind of start with people is your budget. Okay, and you have to take a look at that when you're chasing after your purpose. You can dump a lot of money into if you're let's say you feel that your purpose is to be a motivational speaker, you can dump thousands of dollars into going to listen to Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Brendan Bouchard and Matt Barafato. You can do that, and then you throw all your money away. You can't pay your house payment. You can't afford to pay attention, quote unquote, and then the purpose fades.
Right.
Because now I have to go out and get another job to pay for all the money that I just put into all that stuff. So it's very, very important as we're chasing our purpose to understand that budget. Right?
You're connecting these other arenas. And how is the financial arena not connected in some way to your purpose?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make a living at it, for sure. But even if you're not going to make a living at it, but you want to make sure the others don't falter, you've got to understand your budget, your own financial world. And the philosophy of elephant hunting, or the elephant philosophy with financial, is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest one ever. You say, how much do you need to make?
Yeah.
You need $10,000 to invest in my company. Divide by how many months you have to go and how much you have to put away for it. So it's easy to do one bite at a time on how to do that. But you're pointing something out. It's connected, and that's what will stop you usually because you get overwhelmed somehow.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful.
And then the next thing that Kim said is, you got to have the results what is it we're trying to do, right?
Test.
Well, you know,
Test.
yeah. Where are we going with this as we start our journey? As we start out on our safari to elephant hunt, as we start out on our adventure, as Ron would say, is, you know, what's the end look like? And if we have no idea of what that end looks like, the Cheshire Cat's like, it doesn't matter
How
which
will
way
you
you
know
go.
when you get there?
Exactly.
You won't.
Yeah. Do you want to educate people? Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to have fun?
Yeah.
What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to get your message across?
Yep. And this is where listening becomes important, right? And this is to anybody who has a microphone in front of them, as well as you, Ron. But, you know, so many times I'm sitting here, and when I was a kid, my purpose in life was to play in the NBA, right? And then I realized I was 5'10" and white, and you know, and probably average, right? Didn't have that great skill, you know, you have to be able to help people understand that, well, maybe the result that you see, let me help you redirect that thought. You know, what do you guys? How do you do that? How do you direct those people? Oh,
Well,
that's that.
you know, no. The way I see it is that with every single person, is the process is you've got to create, in my opinion, the ideal person you want to be in that arena. So whichever one we're talking about, if it's a career arena, if it's your family arena, if it's your social arena, it doesn't matter. And then what you do is you create the ideal. So it's not out of reach. It's if you really spent time thinking about it, brainstorming and articulating it, then it's not out of reach. But then step 2 is you have to evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing? Oh, I'm only a 7 or I'm only a 4 on this one. And so you don't get overwhelmed if you look at all the things that are in that arena and you say, I'm only going to look at my lowest score, which is a 4 on this thing I wrote. Now I'm going to brainstorm about it and say, what could I do to be better at that, just to go up 1 digit?
Yeah.
So now you're not overwhelmed. That's how you keep it one bite at a time, and that's how you get to the ideal. Because if you don't have a picture of the ideal, you'll never know you're there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, think about everybody who has a significant other, whether you're married or not. You got a significant other that you love.
Yeah.
I challenge everybody. Say, let me see your list of what that means that you love that person. Oh no, I got it right here. Say, no. Let me see your list. And when you look at that list written down, you're going, oh my gosh! The first time I showed my wife my list. And I'm not kidding. She denies this to this day. She said she looked at the list, looked at me, looked at the list, said, "I'd like to meet that guy someday." And I'm going a dagger through my, you know, but she was right.
Sure.
But I didn't stop there. So what I do is say, how can I be better? I brainstorm. What can I do? I came out of that was date night with my wife. Came out of that were things that happened.
Can you cut him out?
Yeah.
Please? That's right there.
Knock that microphone out, right?
Keep going.
So the key, folks, is a date night with Matt's wife. That's
So appreciate it if you pay. Okay, that's all right. I don't even have to be there. Okay, but if I can.
Or Frank Hostica and the Barbershop
Quartet.
For
That's it. And I love that. And Kim, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, well, this is the result. And then you said the other really important thing is the venue. So we're not on the second floor with no elevator with the 90-year-olds. You know, ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to speak or be in front of the crowd to speak. And, you know, I see myself filling the United Center. Tens of thousands of people listening and hanging on my every word, and coaches every word as we're up there as two bald guys and a microphone. And but in reality, Coach and I could go stand in the United Center right now and talk to not even the janitors, right? So as we're talking about venue for your purpose in life and venue, how do you guide people to saying?
You listen to them and listen to the things that they talk about for their event, how they want it to feel, how they want it to look, and you have to be a resource. You know, there's hardly a venue that I haven't toured or walked into or done an event in, so I know where to go.
Yeah.
I did somebody I know that has a family reunion a couple of years ago. And they said, we're really at a loss here. There was a gentleman that lived in Grace Lake. He said, I have about 80 members of my family. We've outgrown everyone's house. we'd like to do a potluck. We have family recipes that we would like to prepare and bring, and we would like to bring our own liquor into the venue. Ooh. Okay, this is a really tall order.
Sure.
And I placed him in a venue. The venue cost was about $100 for their venue. It was a private space. It worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfectly. They could have gone to a number of banquet halls and looked at rooms and taken an awful lot of time to do that. But I don't think it would have turned out exactly perfect the way theirs did. Yeah. Actually, I put them in a hotel property. I said, you're going to be coming a distance to this event, some of you. You don't all live in Grays Lake. I'd like to see some of those folks stay overnight after they've had a couple of cocktails. And they had a pool the kids could enjoy. It was the perfect fit. The day that they had their family reunion, they booked the next year.
Yeah, and that's as you're chasing your purpose in life, folks, and you know that's the key is to hooking yourself up. We've said it several times today. Hooking yourself up with that professional, hooking yourself up with the people who are doing it and living their dream. And it doesn't mean that you have to pay for it. Right, I mean, Coach is a professional business coach, right? But you might be able to just strike up a conversation with him over a cup of coffee, something like that, or if you're looking to chase your elephant and do some elephant hunting,
or a Euro omelet,
right, or over a Euro omelet, whatever the case may be. But you surround yourself with those people who can give you the guidance without, again, going back to ruining your budget. And you know, when it comes to that, if you could just say, you know, Matt, that here's the one thing for grabbing your purpose, you know, to somebody who is it the same? Let me ask this: would you say the same thing to somebody who's 22 as to compared to 48? As to compared to a lot older than 48.
In the very beginning.
Did you look at me when you said that?
I pointed.
He did. He pointed at you. You didn't say ancient though, but you said
a lot older.
Okay, a lot older. Yeah. I really, when I first start, it is the same. Okay. And the one question that I think everyone needs to pay attention to is, what do you do in your life where time disappears?
All right, now listen, everybody who's listening out there. Stop your car, listen to this, write it down. Say that again. It's
seriously. If you're doing something in your life, and especially if you're wondering, what should I do as my purpose in life?
So fishing is my purpose? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that if you do anything in your existence where time literally disappears, I would stop, I would start to journal on that, I would brainstorm on that, and somehow get it into it. Now, that's the first question. The second question is, what are my gifts? What am I really good at? And then the third question is, who can I serve with that thing I'm really good at?
You write this down, Ken?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Take a picture and send it to me.
So you can see how, Ken, there doesn't matter the age. I don't care if it's 22. Those three questions are the same, because you know the 22-year-old might say, I just love music. And I go, talk to me about that. It disappears. You know, when I do elephant hunting, I have to look at my watch and go, how did this many hours go by? I mean, we're talking about this is 3 hours. I'm going, there is no clock here. Mm-hmm. But that's in my world. And when Kim is doing what she does, and when you guys are doing what you do, time disappears.
Yeah.
And that, most people don't pay attention to that thing, whatever it is.
And folks, listen to what I'm saying. Once you're done viewing this on Facebook Live and you scroll through Facebook, how many Monday memes are going to be? Oh, it's Monday. Ugh. I get excited about Monday because you get to listen to two bald guys and a microphone, which is important to start your week off. But right, the whole key is you know, and people say this. They're like, we're like, hey, come on, 3 hours. They're like, oh my God, 3 hours, right? And here we are. We got 29 minutes left of this show. It flies by,
unbelievable,
right? Yeah. Quickly, because that's why I say we're pulling people's passion out of them. It's not like going to church for 3 hours.
It's not like cataract surgery.
Not like cataract surgery, right?
No,
for 3 hours.
That's it. You know, so it's really a unique thing to hear you say that is, you know, where does time disappear? And there can be several places that is, but then, you know, the next question is, what are my gifts? right? So if fishing is, then maybe, having your own fishing tour or boat
speaking to the fishes.
Right,
Hey guys.
Yes, sir.
I got to get going. Can I ask a question before?
Yes, sir.
Before I get
Always, Damon.
All right, and I'm sure you guys will get to it, but since I'm leaving now, how do you guys deal with like failures or when things don't quite go the way you plan? Like, say for instance, when you're planning an event, thinking about your worst event that you planned, how did you bounce back from that, and how did you deal with your clients in comforting them?
Awesome
in dealing with when it didn't go well.
Okay, that's a common occurrence. Most every single event I have ever done has some unexpected element. I had a group approach me some years ago when I was at University Center. They were trying to do a brand new concept. They expected maybe 200, 250 people they were hoping would attend this. It was on differentiation. The final count we learned about a month before the meeting was 560.
Ooh-wee.
Wow.
It went off without a hitch. There's always last minute considerations, things that you're going to have to work around.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Weather is always a tricky consideration, and no matter who I talk to, if they're planning something outdoors, there has to be a backup plan.
Yeah.
But that's an integral part of it, and that's why you hire an event planner, so you don't have to do it
You
alone.
have someone to blame.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
Well, with the weddings, I officiate a lot of weddings, and I always, when I'm talking to the bride and groom, it's like, hey, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let it make your day.
Right.
Yeah, we'll fix it. Whatever happens, we can get over it. But just know that something will happen.
Sure.
Let's move it. One of my favorites was an outdoor wedding at a golf course, and the puppies were bringing the rings up. His puppy and her puppy were the ring bearers.
Yeah.
It was raining. Now, they had an alternate plan to do the event inside, but the golf course had a no dogs in the golf course rule. And this manager, when the bride went to him, was one of these, the rule is set, there are no dogs in the golf course. Bride came to me in tears.
Sure.
I went to the manager and I said, do you have a daughter? I have 3. Really? Tell me what you would do if something like this happened to your daughter. And he was like, oh my God, I'm spoiling her wedding. He said, no, you're making her wedding go perfectly. Go tell her she could have her puppies in the no one is going to break down the world to bring their dogs into the golf course because these 2 dogs brought the rings up the aisle.
Yeah, for a 20-minute ceremony, the world will go on.
That's it. The same question to you, Matt.
Ron has a great question. And here's my mindset. If, as far as failure is concerned, failure only matters if it's the last time you're going to try. That's my motto. Now, with regard to that, when someone comes to me and they're doing their elephant hunt, they're going on their purpose, and they know this is what they got to do, and something does fail, that's when I start to want them to be honest with themselves and say, okay, let's talk about what you wrote down as your ideal person you want to be in whatever arena you happen to be in. And say, so the answer is real easy. If the ideal you wrote down is exactly right, and you say, oh no, I don't want to change that, and you failed at the goal that you set to get there, then you say, well, you need to readjust your goal, but which one you want to do? The answer is really sort of simple. And they go, oh no, I don't want to change that. And I say, well, then what else do you need to do to change that, to make that a reality? And then they get real excited because they're going, oh, so maybe I can think a little differently. And then when you brainstorm, what other mentors can you go to that have had a failure like that? Because sometimes it's something that you don't want it to, with my kids, you don't want their failures to be something that it's so bad that they die.
Right.
But if they fall down, I want to be able to help them that they get up and move on. But does that make sense, Ron? I don't know if...
that was Damon's question.
You got
I'm going to add one other element to that. I found that when I get into situations where things go wrong, I did not plan that, and it's a big enough problem, I always include a discussion with someone that will give me perspective of the moment. Because I tend to focus on the crisis of the moment And
Right.
what we need is someone that will give us the perspective of really what this is. Tim alluded to that. Say, hey, things are going to go wrong. Expect it. But if it does, there's a support network around you that will take you out of it. And I think that's the same thing with Kim. That the reason you have an event planner is they have an entirely different perspective of your event than you do.
Right.
Right, they're not necessarily personally invested in
Right,
it. They are
exactly.
objectively invested in it. Very nice. Damon, have an absolutely amazing day. Go make a difference in someone's life.
That's Damon K.
Will do.
Ross. You can find him at DamonKRoss.com. Always believe in you.
Always.
Thanks, Damon.
Thanks, Damon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
You got it.
Written by Robert
Be good,
Frost several years ago, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent into the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps a better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Yet as for there, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I ever should come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. You know, when you hit that fork in a road and you make that decision and you start going down one path and you realize, oh, maybe this was the wrong path, there's no going back. Your life experiences, the thing that happened, those steps down that path have changed you and who you are. And maybe it's brought you to a new path or a new fork in the road where you can head back this way and you can find it. As a speaker, you know, many people tell me, how'd you wind up here? He said, well, my dad used to hit me for telling stories. Now they pay me for it. And there's a lot of truth to that because I was always a very creative person and stories would get me out of trouble on the short term. But on the long term, they'd always come back and bite you in your elephant butt, right? It's somebody eating my elephant one piece at a time.
There you go.
But today, being an entertainer and being a edutainer, it's so wonderful at the end of the talk to have someone come up, as Kim came up to me and gave you rave reviews about your talk, just say, you know, you did really well. And we as speakers, as whoever the group you have, when someone says thank you, what do we have a tendency to do? Oh, shucks, that weren't nothing. I do that all the time, right? We brush off people's when they say thank you, and really all we should do is say, you know, thank you, or you're welcome. You know, whatever the you know, thank you for your comments. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Is there anything else I can do?
Right, that's the best part of the question.
And it really does. And when you can do that, it respects the listener. I had a chance to introduce a guy a few years ago. And I introduced him. I thought it was really cool. I get to introduce this guy. And I introduced this guy, and then I was appalled by the way he treated the audience. Absolutely appalled. Today, he's your president. And, you know, along the way, I was not real happy with what was happening, but he is my president. And, you know, I've made the decision, I don't have to like you, but I do have to respect you. And in our world, we try too much sometimes to make people like us, when really we want you to respect us for what we bring to the table. And Matt, you bring your wonderful piece. Kim, you're, you know, in your own right, just one of the most amazing people I know.
Hey, Ron, I just got to do a little... It sounded like some politics he dropped in there. Did he drop politics in there? Was it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I think he was talking about the president of the Elks Lodge.
Oh, yes, the Elks Lodge. Yeah, right. Good. Because we certainly don't ever, we always try to, and it sounded like he might have. I'm at a loss for words, folks.
Well, like
we'll
we
be back
talked
after
about
this station.
before,
WHIW Harvard.
we talked about before the root of the word politics, from the Latin, poly meaning many, ticks meaning bloodsuckers.
Right on there.
Moving, get us back on track.
That's it.
I wonder.
Hey,
I'm
but
sorry.
to get back on track, when I listened to everyone this morning, it really boils down to there's 4 elements of approaching each person we come in contact with, whether you're a coach, your meeting planner, your radio host, is that first we need to listen. Then we need to teach. We then encourage, but the part we mostly forget because we want to be liked is we need to confront.
Absolutely.
And to use Kim as an example, she listened to what they needed. She taught them something about their event. She encouraged them in areas, but she confronts them on the budget.
Right.
That's it.
And if we aren't willing to do all 4 of those elements, then we've not provided a full service to the person that we're trying to deal with, or to help, or to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, it's interesting you say that, because when I am doing what I love and my passion, and people who know me, my personality, because I like people to like me, but when I'm doing my elephant coaching, I'm confronting them on something that they're shocked when they hear me, because I'm going, okay, it's simple. Either change your ideal person or change your goal. One or the other. Just do it, because you know what, you're wasting my time and your time. And they look at you going, oh my gosh, but I'm confronting something that is a truth for them. But if it wasn't my passion and I didn't love it, I don't do it. Right. Now, could I train myself to try to do it? And maybe I did, but this is so easy for me, because I'm saddened when they don't pursue their passion. Yeah. Because they are not being honest with themselves. And they give an excuse, and I go, that's a really bad excuse. And I wanted to actually share when you guys were talking about your tips for physical. Yeah. For me, the greatest motivation is this, I found out. And the greatest motivation to change your behavior is this. If you know what your purpose is point A over here. Okay? And you got to really understand what it is, what's your purpose. The next thing that's going to be over here is, this is a thing called COD. COD is your checkout date. You need to know that you have a checkout date. And then you see, what's the distance between now and my checkout date? And you know what? If you love what you do, Kim, if you love what you do, you realize that if you go to Dr. Mark and he says you don't change what you're doing, you may not make it to doing this as often as you'd like. Yeah. So what is your choice? And that's why I love the image I use when I'm speaking is the Grim Reaper. Yeah. The Grim Reaper. But it's wonderful because they go, oh my God. And the seniors I talk to, they're listening because they're going, I'm at the end over here. I'm at the finish line. I'm on the third for sure. And then they go, well, then have you really discovered why you're here then? Yeah. Because if you're not, and then what is your quality of life between now and when COD comes and takes you? We don't know when that's going to be. Right. So I just wanted to share that when you're talking physical, when you want someone to get in a gym or do something, I can't motivate anybody. But I can say, if you know your purpose, you may want to be here a little bit longer than otherwise you thought. Yeah. And that's why I love that.
Yeah. Well, the show Flipper.
Boy, my checkout date is front of mind every time I'm riding with a coach and he's driving.
That's it. Yeah, always.
You're never so good there's not someone better. You're never so bad there's not someone worse. To grow, you must search for those who are better and learn. To be successful, you must find those who are not at your level and teach.
Boom.
Nice.
Beautiful. Folks, you have been listening to for the last couple hours to Bald Guys and a Microphone, brought to you by
Northern Illinois Windows NIW Services out of McHenry, Illinois. Northern Illinois Services takes the pain out of window cleaning. They are a window cleaning primary service, but they also do window tinting. If that sun's coming in and it's too bright, call Bill and cut out the light.
In studio all morning with us, of course. Go.
And they do commercial and residential.
Commercial and residential cleaning, gutter cleaning. They'll do a lot of other services. So if there's anything that you're looking for and you're not sure who does it, give them a call, 815-385-6646.
I wonder how many mines they found in those gutters.
Ooh, our bowling balls.
Thank you very little. Folks, you in studio, of course, who's really brought up the quality of the looks here, Kim Kreml. Kim S. Kreml, CMP from Planification. Where can they find you? Planification.
Planification.
It's close.
www.planificationgroup.com. Also wanted to throw in a last thought too. Talked about difficult situations or difficult events. An easy event never taught me anything.
Ooh, love it.
Ooh,
Like it.
Love it. Love it.
I
And
want some more of it.
that's
The
it.
difficult ones, the scenarios that are unexpected, are what prepare you for your next client.
Absolutely. And of course, we also have speaker and just all around great author and good guy, the author of Elephant Hunting, Discover and Accomplishing Your Most Important Priorities in Life, Matthew T. Barafato. Where can they find you, Matt?
www.elephanthunting.net. And we do have I'm going to be speaking at Freedom One again
Awesome.
on May 11th.
Don't miss this.
And seriously,
are
if
you bringing
we
the
are
elephant?
going
Oh yeah, they'll all be there.
Unfortunately,
And if you've been intrigued by anything that I've said or
Yeah.
we've talked about on purpose, please come and see that, because I tend to bring this energy and I have a lot of fun. As Kim's seen,
awesome.
I have a lot of fun in it. So it's the 11th and it starts at 7:30. It's a great networking event, by the way.
Yep.
So bring a lot of your cards.
Absolutely.
here's the deal. Find someone to live stream that for us, please. That morning, I will be at the Bull Valley Country Club. I'm actually receiving an award from the Boy Scouts of America called the Legacy of Service
Shiniest head
Award.
award. Oh,
Shiniest head
that's
award.
That's
Okay.
Anybody who likes me, loves me, and has balled without you
Absolutely.
needs to be there on that morning.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you say that was May
There's
11th?
a lot of
May
people.
11th.
May 11th.
May
May
11th,
11th.
we're also having a little post-Kentucky Derby party at Freedom One at Turnell. So ladies, get those glue guns out, and we're going to have a contest for the best hat.
Bad.
Cool.
We are
Best.
we are dropping.
Speaking of hats, I'm so glad you brought that up. Our good friend of the show, Tom Sellers,
Tommy.
is in his chemo and radiation battle out of Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and we are presenting him with a hat a week. So if you are a person who has a hat with your business name on it, or if you want to create a hat for Tom, you can get those to us. And this idea came from our good friend in Greenville, Texas, Ron Hustry. And Ron provided the first hat, the Flying Double H Ranch. So if you're out there, you've got a business that hats are your deal, get them to us, we'll get them to Tom.
That's it. And now we love to just pause and take a time for pointing out cool people doing cool things.
I have a young lady named Sarah Natalie. High school assignment was to write a story that turned into her first novel 1 year after graduating high school in 2015 from Crystal Lake Central. Sarah Natalie Mondello's first book, The Kiss of Death, hit the bookshelves. She'll be reading an excerpt from the book on July 23rd.
Beautiful.
Young people, cool people doing two things. This is a young lady, and
Caught in the act.
going to McHenryCountyLiving.com, you can find out a lot about a lot of people doing cool things. I picked her out because she found her passion at a very young age.
Absolutely.
And that's an amazing thing. You look at J.K. Rowling and some of these others who found their passion very young. I saw her interview, and she's still like 34 years old or something. Oh my goodness.
What's that?
Cool people doing cool things, caught in the act. Ron.
You know, my experience this week with the surgery and everything, I noticed entire nursing staff that although they probably do this thing 20 or 30 times a day through prep and wheeling you down the hall and everything, that each one of them made me feel like I was the only guy there for that day. And that's going above and beyond. It's not just a job, it's a passion. And my hat's off to all of them for the dedication, the commitment, and the care that they give.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you know what, and that's cool. You know, but mine goes out to Michelle. You know, this lady came off of her. You know, when I needed a hand, right? God delivered an angel in the form of Michelle to get me through that. It was crazy. I probably squeezed all the blood out of her fingers, you know. But Yeah, that is just the people in the medical field, the ones who are truly in it, are passion and walk you through it and have that ability to calm you and heal you. Ron, I agree with you. Those are just cool people doing cool things.
I'll give you a tip for your next MRI.
Yeah.
The minute you get into that room, close your eyes. Do not open them until they're wheeling you out of the room.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of MRIs, an hour and a half in length. It's the only way you're going to survive it.
That's it. The noises don't bother me.
No, the noise is fine. You get the headset.
Yeah. Right. But mine is to take somebody to hold their hand. Rich, if you're available. How about you, Matt? Find anybody doing cool things?
Yeah, this marriage enrichment thing that I went to, the priest that gave the meditation, there was a mass that followed after it, and when he read the gospel, he didn't read it. He said, please if you're looking at the Bible, please put it down, and I'm going to act it.
Ooh.
And he literally, by memory, but acting out the gospel.
Cool.
And I've never been touched by a reading of a gospel because he literally acted it out instead of when Christ breathed on you, he would go, and it's like, wow, it was amazing. So it's
cool.
Father Michael Sparbo, and he's at the Bellarmine Retreat Center. So
that's awesome.
That is cool. Shout out goes out to that.
I love Bellarmine. I go there for a silent retreat every year.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Eddie Jugman says,
kick him out because
after being on your show, I discovered my love of broadcasting and now going to the Illinois Media School. Thank you for the opportunity and the jumpstart. Ball guys, you're cool people doing cool things.
Eddie J. Hey, you're welcome back in the studio.
I want to be on your show, man.
Yeah.
Bill Hotsey says, Matt, great insight to a happy career. Kim, nothing but respect for you and hard work and talent. Tim, nice salute via outfit. Oh, I got my U.S. Army on. He picked up on that.
Nice.
Kent, are you growing hair on your head?
No, the face. Oh,
he was standing on his head a few minutes ago, and you might have seen that.
Yeah, my face. But, yeah.
We're in our last 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to let you know you have been and are still listening to WHIWLP 101.3 FM out of Harvard, Illinois. Rich, do you have anything? Cool people doing cool things. Think and grow rich.
I'd like to put this out to my father. He did not play basketball. You never heard about him slam dunking for the Bulls or anything like that. He was a sheet metal worker, and he worked in the shop. He was a layout man before they had computers that do that.
Right.
And he was a craftsman. And I had a guy come up to me in the trade once and said, he is as good as anyone I've ever seen. Now, you know what? The guy that you see slam dunking that basketball in the United Center, there are people that built that building. There are people that built America.
Yep.
And that is a cool thing we don't think about every day.
That is a cool thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amen. You mentioned that. I just realized today is my father's birthday, April 23rd. He passed away in 1997, but the cool thing about my father, the farmer, said the eulogy at his funeral. I never heard my dad speak. I never knew he was a speaker. I mentioned before, do you want to be a good speaker? Someone came up to me afterwards and they said, you talk just like your dad. Well, my dad was a Mason, Masonic Lodge, and he was the Grand Mason for the local lodge, but then eventually he was the top dog for the state of Nebraska twice. And if you're not, it's one of those you got to be a member to eat here kind of places. So he only spoke within those walls, but my dad was a great speaker. And
How
I
about
didn't
that?
realize. So
He told people what they wanted to hear.
I got that gift, and I didn't even realize it. Not from watching him, but I guess it's genetic.
That's it.
That's
Ron,
probably why you hit me for telling stories.
Ron Hostry, any last thoughts, and where can people find out more about Ron Hostry?
Well, they can go to thegreaterjourney.com or ididnotplanthat.com. Yeah, final thought. I don't know how many people are going to go out and eat an elephant, but I'd like to, next time you get on a commercial airliner, take a look into the cockpit on your way by the door and realize that the pilot did not know how to do everything the first time they stepped into that plane. That they had to learn each instrument and its purpose, and each switch and why it was there. And we're all kind of the same way, that we will learn, each one of us, what our purpose is in that panel. And as we find out what other people's purposes are, we'll know how to melt that together to make a great airplane.
Wow, fantastic.
That's big stuff. You can also find Ron in Greenville, Texas. Give him a shout. He's got a spare bed in the barn dominium, and he will not make you work more than 10 hours for your room and board.
Kim, any last thing, real quick?
Oh my gosh, I can't top all that.
That is wonderful. And if they want to know more about what you do, Kim, where can they find you?
They certainly can go to www.planificationgroup.com or give me a call. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about your next event or proposed event, and maybe we can make it a little better.
That's it. And the elephant hunter, my good friend.
I want
Matt.
everyone to know you're all elephant hunters, and that's what people they look at me and say, no, you're an elephant hunter. Everyone's an elephant hunter. So enjoy the safari is what I have to say, and thank you so much for having us.
Make
It's
sure you have your gun
wonderful.
loaded. Where can they find you?
www.elephanthunting.net.
Awesome.
Push that around to Rich, because Rich being in here, where can they find you? And whatever you wrote down there, just go ahead and say it.
We just got a 5-star rating from Mike Babbitts.
Hey,
Oh,
They
Mike,
do an
hi.
awesome job of informing and entertaining.
nice.
Very nice. Mike,
Nice.
the referee.
There's a little bell. Where can they find you, Rich?
They can find me at www.richpublicity.com.
Fantastic.
You know, the one thing that hit me about elephanthunter.net,
Yes.
do you really hunt elephants with a net? I mean, that could be kind of a...
This kind you do.
Sometimes.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Are you an elephant coach or are you an elephant trainer?
I'm an elephant whisperer.
There you go.
Ooh,
Very good.
okay.
Folks, you
You
can't.
weren't expecting that, were
That's
you?
right. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life, Mr. Steve Jobs. And that's what we're trying to do.
Who's going to be in the studio with us next week?
Well, Bill Hosse's going
With us, with you.
Bill
because-
Hosse will be in here with me again. He's just got a great face for radio. And did we find out about Chuck or no?
Ron, Chuck Inman, next week?
Anyone?
Haven't confirmed that yet.
Okay.
Working on it.
We're going to have somebody.
I'll be on a boat.
Yep, we're going to have somebody that we can absolutely talk
boat.
about getting out of your comfort zone
Caribbean.
next week. Folks, we can't thank you
Jamaica.
enough
Grand
for tuning in to us. If you have more questions, more inner edutainment needs, or anything like that, reach out to
Two bald guys and a microphone.com.
And it's that time, Coach.
Get off the bench.
Get back in the game.
We are
Two bald guys and a microphone.
And we do approve this message. God bless. Travel safe.